I'm Caitlin.
I'm Hannah.
And I'm Natalie. Welcome to the Stride Sisters podcast. This is part 2 of our Wine Dine Half Marathon Weekend 2024 recap. In part 1, we dove into all things racing, covering everything from the expo to the 5K, 10K, and half marathon itself. Today, we're switching gears to talk about the other side of the magic, the parks. We're dishing all of our Wine and Dine Disney park fun. We will share our must-try eats and, of course, the unforgettable after party that made the race weekend complete. So, lace up your shoes and step into the magic with us.
Hooray! So guys, I was showering after my 8-miler today, and I noticed while I was brushing my hair that I still have glitter on my scalp from the race. And I'm curious to see if I will still have glitter on my scalp when marathon weekend comes around, because I'm not sure it's going anywhere. I keep thinking I got the last piece, and then it's not. It's still there. So
It's probably going to be around until like 2042 at this point.
yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like my bruised toe. That took, they say it's like a 6-month thing, but it definitely took me 8 months for that toenail to grow out. So glitter's a more pleasant companion.
That or Bartholomew.
Ugh,
It's his revenge.
I swear Bartholomew is still giving. It doesn't hurt. It's like his revenge is just that I never know. Every time I take off my shoe after a run, I'm like, is it going to be there? Is it not? Even when I take preventative measures, I'm worried.
Well, wouldn't it hurt?
I mean, yes, but I think because he was such a big blister, that part of my toe, like the skin is still pink, just like normally. So I think that just freaks me out every time, is that it's more this time, but it's not. It's just pink skin. But I am like notoriously slow to heal from everything. Like I have so many scratches on my legs and my feet and stuff from my cat from Sushi wanting to play. And like, would a normal cut be gone in like a couple weeks for someone? Probably. Are there cuts that I have on my leg that there's a scar from like 4 months ago? Yes, there are. So maybe this is just my vibe in the universe, is things stick around. Cuts, bruises, glitter.
I'm kind of the same way with Boomer, though, when he scratches me. Like, I still have a scar from 2020 when we first got him.
It's just a mark of love at this point. But since I still have glitter from the race weekend, I figure it's as good a reason as any for us to talk part 2 of that race weekend and let everyone know about, not just the races like we talked about last week, but we're going to talking about the food, the party, parks, what rides we rode, all that stuff. But before we get there, do you want to talk about our training from this week? Caitlin, do you want to kick it off?
With me? Okay.
Yes. I've been so
Sure.
proud of you this week. You've been doing so
Aw.
well.
Aw, thanks. Yeah, I've been going to the gym. Well, because it's really rainy here. But yeah, I've been getting my treadmill runs in and some strength training in.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
You're doing better than me from the strength training perspective, because like that I'm still struggling with. And the treadmill thing is kind of funny. I saw that TikTok you made. It's hilarious.
yeah?
And I was
Oh.
thinking about that this morning when I got up to do my 8-miler, that I was like, I've been running on the treadmill so much now that even though I still prefer outside for like really long runs, I was kind of like, it's a bummer that I can't bring my iPad with me for this run. I'm so
Yeah.
attached to my trash TV time now.
The treadmill runs, I mean, it's not the best, but at the same time, I get very distracted with music and then TVs everywhere. So it's okay.
Yeah.
The first part of my gym time has just been like putzing around, making a TikTok, and then I'm like, all right, now I need to get serious. Let's get down to business.
Well, if the TikTok is the reason that you get to the gym, then that's a good enough reason for me.
Okay.
If that's what brings
Yes.
you joy like my trash TV does, then all the better. My training went pretty well this week. I had my Tuesday run, which I actually did on Wednesday. Good run, 4 miles. Pace was great. It was an easy one. My strides were good. I didn't really want to do it, and Ben told me just go do a 5K. Like, don't worry about whatever distance Kristen assigned. Just go do the 5K. It won't take you very long. And then, like, we'll have dinner. He was like, just do something. And I was like, okay, I'll just do the 5K. And then we came back up and he's like, so did you just do the 5K? And I was like, no, I did my full thing. He's like, there you go. You just had to get the push to get started. So that was really sweet of him. And then I was supposed to do speed on Thursday. I honestly do not remember why I didn't do it, but I did my 8 miles today. Felt great. The weather was fantastic. It hasn't been this cool in Atlanta in a long time. So that was a nice plus, and my all my limbs felt great. All my mileage was a negative split, so and my heart rate was down. So I feel like this is probably one of the best like training runs I've done, which is a nice feeling going into 18 tomorrow, for my first like what feels like first serious simulation. There's something about getting close to that 20 that makes me feel like we're getting down to business, which I think is a good transition for Natalie's training because she actually did 20 this week.
Sure did. Training went pretty well this week. I actually did my speed on Tuesday just to get it out of the way because I've noticed that an easier run heading into a simulation weekend is better because my preference is usually a Friday, Saturday. So
Mhm.
Saturday is my longest run of the week. Obviously, as the weather starts weathering, as it did today, I'm gonna have to work with that quite a bit. My goal is to have it all done so that Sunday I'm not doing, if possible. So I got speed done Tuesday, got the forward strides done on Thursday. Friday was my 8.5, and that went actually really well. I really have been cognizant of watching my heart rate this week. I also did strength in there, which that was a little brutal because it was my first strength workout in a couple of weeks. Wednesday, I was pretty sore going into the Thursday and Friday runs, but kind of knew. I knew while I was doing the workout, while I was doing the probably too heavy for my current physical fitness chest presses, but I started them at that weight. I mean, like I wasn't struggling to do the reps. They were hard, which is
Mhm.
what they should be. I was like, this is gonna hurt so bad tomorrow. um, but got the 8.5 done. I've been watching my heart rate a lot more and make sure that I adjust my pace as necessary to keep myself in the green ideally, but usually orange zone. And then we get to today, and I wake up and I go, wow, it is a beautiful day in Nebraska. And it's in the 40s, like getting up to the 60s in November. What a life. And then because I know better, though I check a little bit more into the weather. Like in the summer, you have to check the dew point. I check into the wind map. 19-mile-an-hour winds, 33-mile-an-hour gusts. And I think I've told this story before, but I know I have on at least on my Instagram of my 20 last year on Thanksgiving was also like 23-mile-an-hour winds. So the 20 feels cursed a little bit. And my first 20 in 2022, honestly, I know it was somewhat windy, but I didn't know any better at that point. But so I gave myself the out today of, you know, if this is a suck fest, I'm going to call it at 8.5 and then I will do 20 tomorrow. And I'll basically just repeat my simulation so I make sure I'm still getting that 8.5 and 20 the way I'm supposed to. I've noticed that when I give myself an out like that, I do the whole thing.
Yeah, I think it's just like a mental thing. You give yourself permission to do less so you feel the motivation to go ahead. And then by the time you get to that point, the endorphins kick in and you're like, I've got this.
Yeah, honestly, it went all pretty well. There were some times where then the wind started picking up because I want to say that when I started, it was closer to just this is air quotes 12 to 15-mile-an-hour winds, but I really felt the 19s around a certain time, especially because they're coming out of the south and southeast. So when I was going certain ways running around, some were harder than others, but I was really proud of keeping again heart rate low and also keeping myself like within 1 minute of pace of where I really wanted to be. And pretty much like left like thought about, I was clipping the same like pace every single mile. There were some of them where I went a little too fast and then the next mile was a go in the corner and go think about what you've done because I made sure I took extra, some extra walk breaks, some extra like long intervals. So to make sure that I wasn't getting ahead of myself because I know in some points that I am my own worst enemy with, I'm like, oh, I can totally go nice and like easy pace for the first three, and then I get the zoomies. So I was really trying to work against that. And I knew that my 20 last year, because I came home to change because I had sweat through my clothes. And I was like, wow, like, why does this feel so hard? That's when I discovered the wind. But I was trying to go by effort a lot more. So I'm a little tender, obviously. Overall, good. This is the first good 20 I've had. So that finishing in my driveway, plopping myself down on the porch, felt good. Ready to do it again in a couple weeks.
I think it's just the universe proving to you how strong you are and that you are ready. I think that's what the universe does. Every time you have a 20, they're like, we're going to throw it all at you and just show you what you can do.
That is true. But also, if this is how I ran in 19-mile-an-hour winds with 33-mile-an-hour wind gusts, I'm going to be an animal in Chicago next year. Not even dopey. I'll probably be an animal there too, but I'm going to be an animal. Feral.
Nice.
We can't wait to root you on. All right, so let's get to our countdown. Days until the next race. We've got 50 days until Marathon Weekend 2025, 72 days until the Disneyland Half Marathon in 2025. We have 93 days until Princess Weekend 2025, 135 days until Springtime Surprise Weekend 2025, and we've got 296 days until the Disneyland Halloween Half Marathon 2025. And I don't know what the count is, but registration is like the week of Thanksgiving for Club Run Disney, and then regular will be the next week after that. So the holidays will be packed with joy and shopping. All right, and then the Chicago Marathon Lottery closes this week. So if you are just itching to run with Natalie, or you're wanting to do your first or manyth, that's not a word, world major, this is your opportunity to get in the lottery. It closes on the 21st at 2 p.m. Central. Natalie, you want to cover news?
Oh, I'd love to cover news. Probably one of the biggest pieces of news that came out in this past week were Disneyland Halloween Half Marathon themes were revealed. That's why it's now on the countdown because we
Mm-hmm.
have dates for Wine and Dine, but once we get the themes, I'll add it to it. And also, it'll be kind of cool to see the number go from 296 and then it will be eventually like 20 something. It is villain themed, which is so exciting.
It's
Kids,
cute.
oh, so cute. Kids races, Captain Hook. Yoga is the Queen of Hearts. 5K is Ursula and Flotsam and Jetsam from The Little Mermaid. The 10K is Cruella de Vil. It's like they heard about the whole Rise and Run group costume for the 5K and they knew people wanted to rewear their t-shirts. The half marathon is Maleficent. And the challenge is Pain and Panic / I believe there's going to be some Hades vibes in there. Proof of Time is going to stay at 2:30 and it will be due April 1st of 2025. You must use a 10K, a 10 miler, a half marathon, or a marathon for proof of time. That part's not new, but I figured it was worth mentioning.
Yeah, always. The art is chef's kiss. It's very cute and very cohesive. I feel like a lot of the time I wish I could go to a Disneyland race. I I don't know when the year will be, but I just have so much stuff, especially next year, going on in my life. I cannot add like another like cross country adventure to that lineup.
These themes would get me, but I just know that it's not a great time. And it's also only 6 weeks before Chicago. And while somebody did call me out for this, of more with the Wine and Dine dates of, wow, that's like 2 weeks after Chicago to do a half. They're like, "Didn't you just do coast to coast this year?" Okay, fair. I still don't think it's quite in the cards for me, although I love the themes. They really knocked it out of the park, and I can't wait to see the merch situation, even though I will be states and states away. All right, next piece of news. Lululemon and Disney had a collab that came out this week. A lot of cute stuff. I noted today in one of the pass holder groups is that some of it has ended up at Disney Springs, and you can use your pass holder discount
Oh my
on
gosh,
it.
really?
Yes.
That's wild.
And it's gonna be driving down.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, I don't want to, but I also do because I also saw that a lot of like Wine and Dine stuff is in Character Warehouse now.
Yes.
So it is kind of, it's not like I'm not gonna drive 6+ hours just, but that dang it, I wish I lived in Orlando.
Why not? I would drive. I live double the length away,
'Cause
but I would drive down to Character Warehouse to go get the food and wine stuff. I
I
mean
mean, I
the
would, but
wine
I
and dine.
also have to go, like, I'm traveling for my sister, for some wedding activities, and then we're
Oh,
traveling for Thanksgiving, and then I feel like Christmas is right around the corner. We've got so much driving ahead of us that I just don't know. And I've got, now is not the time for me to be buying myself more stuff. If anything, it's time for me to like be considering gifts for other people. So,
yeah, I kind of thought of that too cuz I see all these like Black Friday sales and I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to get paid that week. Kind of want to go get some stuff for the marathon." But then I was like, "No, I should probably get gifts for other people." So,
We have some upcoming resort refurbishments, which may impact some of your planning over the next year. Pop Century is going to undergo refurbishment from late March 2025 to mid February of 2026. I know Pop is especially a hit for marathon or for race weekends because there's a lot of really good energy there. And I know people talk all about the lady at the bus. Their last refurbishment was in 2018, I believe they finished. So it seems like that's about the time in which
yeah.
Disney decides to do their refreshes. Port Orleans Riverside is also on this list. Early April 2025 to January of 2026, and it's the Magnolia Bend area. So that's like my favorite area to stay in. And I don't feel like the rooms feel dated yet, but I can see them being higher on the list
Hmm.
than like the Alligator
Alligator
Bayou.
Bayou.
That's exciting.
It's heart-wrenching. It's exciting, obviously, because we love it so much. So I'm glad it's getting attention, but it is also just like, that means we can't stay there for a whole year.
Oh no, what am I gonna do?
I know. You're either gonna have to be okay with Alligator Bayou for a little while, or we're gonna have to go to French Quarter, which I like French Quarter. That's where I'm staying for the marathon.
I have no beef with Alligator Bayou. I just need to be on the first floor when doing a long race,
Yeah.
like the marathon.
I would argue that I pretty much always want to be on the first floor just so I don't have to
True.
lug my suitcase regardless of my soreness, but
That is also true. Because for context for the listener, if you've never stayed there, Alligator Bayou is not the side with the elevators.
yes,
So
it is not an accessible section of the hotel. If you are going to stay there, it is gorgeous, so don't let us steer you away. Just maybe think about how heavy your luggage is if you're going to be on the second floor.
talk to your travel agent to get your room request in.
And if you need a travel agent, it could be me. And if you are,
Yeah.
have reservations and you want to make changes now that you know about refurbishments and such coming up, then that is a great opportunity for a travel agent to help you with that.
Hot tip. And then Copper Creek at Wilderness Lodge is going to go undergo a refurbishment just for the summer, mid-May of 25 through September of 25. So not quite something that'll impact your race weekend planning, but just keep things in mind as you're booking, as we're going to get dates. We
Mhm.
have not quite gotten the dates yet for the 2026 portion of the Run Disney season for next year. I'm excited to get them. I think we'll get princess medals first.
We better get princess medals first. We've been waiting long enough.
I think we're due this week. I think they've been doing them about 90 days out, so we're due this week.
We'll see if they get announced before or after we drop.
Oh, yeah, they've been loving the Mondays. Oh, man. This will be funny. It'll just be like another tally in the column of like premonition. It'll be either that or the other half of the season, but I think we'll get medals first. The Disney Treasure in DCL News has made it to Florida,
Mhm.
left the Netherlands on October 30th. It's got its christening ceremony in New York City today. Super exciting. And its maiden voyage is in December of 2024.
Very exciting. As of recording, you are interested in going on that maiden voyage. Again, another thing a travel agent can help you with. This is my most not subtle plug I've ever done. I'm usually very chill about it. And now on to our main topic, Wine and Dine race weekend. We covered the races in our previous episode, so if you haven't heard about our race experiences, please go back to that and give it a listen. But stick around here first, finish this one out. Don't leave us just yet. So we're going to go through the weekend sequentially and work our way through all the activities we did that weren't races.
I arrived on October 30th as the Disney Treasure was leaving the Netherlands. I was sitting on the plane and I was starting to watch people's Instagram stories of how uncrowded the parks were. And I made a park reservation for that night, and I got in at like 7:30. And I ended up at Magic Kingdom for the just a little bit of time at night. Never feel like I've sprinted so fast out of an airport. Especially having said earlier that day, like, oh, I'm just going to get to the hotel, go to bed early. But the magic was calling. The Magic
Best laid
Kingdom
plans.
was calling. It was super duper uncrowded at Magic Kingdom. Did Big Thunder Mountain. I got a Buzz Lightyear. I not only got Galactic Huron one gun, I got it on both of them because I was by myself. That's going on my resume, as it should. Noticed Tron had a 35-minute wait, but I knew that it was just knowing what I had ahead of me that weekend, and I would be up early to do stuff the next day, that it was time for me to go. So I did not wait for it, but it was the first time I was in the parks after Tron went to a standby in the first place, and then seeing the wait that low was crazy.
Yeah, I
Was
would have had a
tempted.
hard time walking away from that.
I think I still didn't even get in bed until after midnight.
Yeah.
So it was one of
Mm.
those where I was sitting there like, honey, it's time to go. The next day, I didn't do parks during the day. I did the expo, then I was working. And then my friend Adam kind of came, we hung out while I was like finishing up my work day, got lunch at our food court at Port Orleans Riverside, and went over, got beignets as well from French Quarter. That was a good time. And then I started to get ready for the Halloween party. As you can tell, I did get a ticket to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. And my costume for the party I was a balloon lady.
It was a stellar costume.
Missing one critical component called a balloon. So here's the thing, is that I wouldn't have minded buying the balloon, but I don't have like a friend with like a kid that would have a stroller to like deal with it at the moment. I didn't want to tote it around the whole day
Yeah.
or the whole
And there's
evening
nowhere to
of
put it during the party if you don't have someone with said
stroller.
thing. I guess you could tie it to a random tree or something, but probably not advisable.
Yeah, Mickey probably don't like that.
Yeah.
It probably would not have been there when I got out of Space Mountain.
I mean, you probably could give it to guest relations, maybe, because they do hold balloons at Animal Kingdom. I don't
But
know.
isn't that like a
Safety thing.
Yeah,
I
it's
was gonna
for
say
the
for the animals,
animals.
right?
Right.
Because
So I don't know what they would do at Magic Kingdom.
the only time that balloons enter the animal kingdom during the year are during the marathon, because the balloon ladies have them tied to them.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think of
Wow.
that.
What an exclusive honor.
Wow.
Right? But I had fun being a little troll. And it was funny because mostly cast members got it. And some people were like, "Oh, did the runs already happen?" And I had to explain, because I printed out, as a member of Club Run Disney, you get like a virtual 10K. So I printed out a virtual 10K bib so that I had a bib, because I didn't want to wear my actual bib or take one of my old ones with
Risky
me.
behavior.
Exactly. And then I had the 16-minute per mile sign both on my front and back. And then just other running things. I had a little enchanted skirt on. I was as comfortable as I think I've ever been in the Magic Kingdom, just wearing like running clothes. But I was also trolling the Rise and Run community chat about Mickey's Not So Scary, saying my location, and then the balloon ladies have been spotted near Space Mountain. Got like something back from Bob that's like, "Oh, good, I'm far away from there. I've got some time." So I had fun doing that. And then sometimes I found like a stroller that had a balloon on it, and I like tried to pose in front of it, but it was windy, so sometimes it didn't work. So some of the pictures I have are very funny. And I also bought like a little lollipop that was like, or a jawbreaker. It was not little by any means, to like serve as my little
Quite
balloon.
amused later in the weekend watching you to try and actually eat it.
Yeah, it was a futile effort. I tried. The meet and greets that I did Minnie, Donald, Daisy, Goofy, which were all in their Halloween costumes. I had been given a challenge of a list of things. My boss gives me challenges of characters to meet when I go down to the parks, and I haven't failed the challenge yet. And he said characters in their Halloween costumes. So I was like, okay, deal. Got that specifically for that purpose. It's in Pete's Silly Sideshow back in Storybook Circus is where they were all meeting. That's where the dwarves were last year, and that's the line I thought I was getting in. But then after checking the map and realizing the dwarves weren't going to be there. Did I mention it was somewhat last minute? I got the ticket that I was like, oh, well, I'm here. I might as well. And their costumes were super duper cute. I also did Jack and Sally. I did that right after the first parade. Didn't end up missing the fireworks for it. Thought they were at 10:15. They were at 10. But that's okay because I really like meeting Jack and Sally. It's obviously something you can only do certain places. So it was pretty cool to do so. The Boo to You parade obviously is fantastic, and the song is a bop. It gets played year round in this household. My very favorite part is the grave diggers swipe their shovels and it sparks on the ground. Super duper sweet. I did some trick or treating because I am a well adjusted grown adult, and there are a few times in my life I go trick or treating without children. So I enjoyed trick or treating, and it was nice because it was like the last Halloween party of the year. The last boo to use were echoing through the Magic Kingdom, and so they were really like shoveling the candy in. And I didn't go through too many of them, but I did do a handful of the different treat stops, and it was fun. It's fun to feel like a little kid again, going through, getting you candy. I started to poop out really in the Jack and Sally line, to be honest, and knowing, I had a race the next day. I did get a spot for the last parade at 11:15, which the further you are up Main Street, obviously it takes some time for the parade to circle through the parks. And it's got a beautiful video of the Headless Horseman. Huh, probably the best one I've ever gotten. And then I realized my soul was leaving my body a little bit, and it was time for me to go to home and go to bed. Because then, you do you do the Disney math. Like there's different levels of Disney math, right? Where one of the levels of Disney math was, if I leave now before the parade's over, I'm going to beat everybody else to the buses, which I did. So
Good
it
for
was a
you.
lot of fun. I was totally glad I did it. It's just a blast. I didn't see the stage show. I one of these times I am going to make time to go like watch one of the stage shows. I think I did. I have caught some of them while I've been meandering around the parks before, but never purposely stopped to like watch and like get like a really good view of it. But I totally recommend Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. It's a great time, and that concludes
Yeah.
October.
Yeah. Natalie came home, and the next morning she had the 5K. So I was responsible for ensuring that she reawoken in time for that. But that next day, post race, was our expo day for me. Caitlin had not quite arrived yet, so I made my first outing. I went ahead and got all my stuff. It was a joy. It was not. It was actually less crowded when I went than when we ended up going for Caitlin the next day, which was crazy. And then we ended up heading to Animal Kingdom. The expo didn't open until like noon, and I had to work in the morning. So we had a very small window to go to the park and like eat before we needed to, well, not me, but Natalie needed to go to bed. I was not quite yet ready to be alone in the park by myself. So Natalie and I we got to Animal Kingdom. We made a beeline to Satuli's Canteen with our mobile orders, and as we were approaching, we passed Flight of Passage, and the wait time was 25 minutes. And I was so upset that we had already placed our mobile orders because I was like, I don't think I'll ever see a wait time this short ever again unless you rope drop. Like, that's the only chance you have of such a short wait time without like a lightning lane or something.
That is so cool. You could have
So
taken your mobile order in the line, maybe.
Theirs aren't bagged.
I
Like
don't
it's on a
know.
tray.
Oh,
And it
Yeah.
already clicked I'm here. Also, I'm so glad that
mm.
I wasn't hallucinating that because
You thought it
I
wasn't
remember
real.
I would have jumped on that ride, man.
I do have a little bit of regret about that. Or that like when we were leaving, I should have just let Natalie go and like gone because I don't remember exactly what it was when we were leaving, but it was still pretty short. And I think it was a combo of I don't know if I'm imagining the ride must have gone down for some reason.
It
That's the
probably
only
did.
reason I would think of that it would be like that. And then because it was also 4 p.m. ish, you know, a lot of people leave Animal Kingdom at 2 to hop to other parks, even though you don't actually have to wait till 2 anymore to hop. But I think, like, the park starts to clear out in the afternoon, so if it was already down, I think a lot of people hightail it out, and I definitely could have had a pretty short wait time if I had ditched Natalie at the end after dinner, but
Have you been on Flight of Passage yet?
I have. So that's the
Okay.
other
Well,
reason I
that's good.
felt, no, no, no. I think if I
Okay.
hadn't ridden it, period, I would have been like, screw it, Natalie. Here's my phone. Pick up the food. I'll meet you at the end.
There you go.
Fair.
It was a little bit of a bummer, that's for sure. But because we didn't ride the ride while we were in Setulia's canteen, Natalie and I had what might be my most famous moment I ever have in my entire life. We were sitting in there. We had just sort of finished our meal, and Natalie says, "Oh my gosh, I think I know her." And I was like, "No, who? Like, what the, like, are we running into other Run Disney people, you know? Like, is it someone you know from races?" And she goes, "No, it's Molly. It's Molly from the Mammoth Club." Ben and I love the Mammoth Club. They have a YouTube channel if you've never watched them. It's like they do a bunch of fun videos about like all parks all over Orlando, mostly Disney and Universal from what I've seen, but they do rock paper scissors to pick the meal. They do
Winner
like
picks dinner.
winner picks dinner. They do like try and ride every single ride in 24 hours. All kinds of fun stuff. I nicely whisper shouted to Molly, "I love your videos." Like the excited person that I was, and fangirled for a moment. She was very sweet and she was like, "Oh, thank you so much." She was like on her way to get her drink or something. And then they sat down, and if you watch the video, which I'm sure Natalie has the exact timestamp for, yes, apparently 42 minutes into the video, we'll put the link in the show notes if you want to see. You can see my back in my purple rain jacket, and I think you can see Natalie's actual face.
And hear my voice.
And hear her voice. If you listen very carefully, you can hear Natalie in the back of this Mammoth Club video while they're talking about whatever Alan had for dinner, I think.
That is so
What's
cool.
ironic is I am pretty sure it was their lunch while we were eating our dinner.
That's literally such a vibe though. Like that's one of my Disney goals is to find a famous YouTuber person and get in the background of their video or at least just go up and like talk to them and meet them.
I was in complete shock. I texted Ben about it while we were there. I was like, "Ben, oh my gosh, I just saw the Mammoth Club. I just saw Ellen and Molly. I just saw them. Oh my gosh." And he was like, he thought I was joking. He was like, "Are you serious?" He was excited and he wasn't even there. And then after that, we did actually see Run Disney people because Natalie said again, like, we realized we knew people. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We cannot be like seeing another like YouTube or famous person. Actual friends of Natalie we then saw who were sitting at the table next to us. We did not realize we were sitting next to other like humans that Natalie knew. And she introduced me very kindly as, "This is my friend Hannah." And shout out to you guys because one of them asked, "Oh my gosh, are you Hannah from the podcast?" And I died. So you made my
Shut up.
life.
No way.
Shout out to Samantha.
Yeah, I was like, I think it was Samantha.
Aw, that is so
So,
cool.
look, Mom, I made it, kind of. I love you, Samantha. And then we had a couple other ones on the way. The other thing we delayed dinner for slightly was I thought it was a Halloween party exclusive. There was a Stitch popcorn bucket, and Stitch has like a little pumpkin candy basket that he's holding, and he's dressed up as a vampire. And Natalie, like, couldn't get it. She kept asking people, and they're like, "No, no, no, it's not here," kind of thing. And so then when we passed it in Animal Kingdom, which is where they told her it was the first popcorn stand that we passed, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, they have it." So I got my hands on the Stitch popcorn bucket. I currently still have it up as decoration in our apartment next to our ginormous Mickey jack-o'-lantern. Also, another big first. Wow, it's just like, even though it was a very short period of time, I know, roller coaster of emotions right now. It was also my first time at Satuli Canteen. And now I've just told Ben we're going to have to eat there at every chance we get because it was So good, so fresh. I've never felt like the portions were amazing. The size of the
Yeah.
portions, the flavor is great, the value was really good, and I've never felt so like good after finishing a theme park meal. I didn't feel like, sometimes you eat a piece of fried something, as a lot of theme park food is, or like a burger and it's greasy and you start to feel that like heavy feeling in your stomach. Does not happen at Satuli Canteen, in my opinion. Great food. Cannot rave about it enough. And then after that, we did actually go home and go to bed. And actually, I thought Natalie was gonna like hit the hay and I'd stay up for like, a few hours, but I ended up going to bed almost as early as she did, even though I didn't have to wake up. So I got a ton of sleep that night. And I felt really good, but also not really good because the next day I had a migraine. You gotta love it and you also hate it a little bit. And Caitlin arrived probably just after I had been asleep for a little bit, but I woke up again. I think it was around 10 p.m.
Yeah, I flew in late Friday night. I didn't get back to our resort until about 11
Oh
p.m.
my gosh, even later than I thought. I must have been out
Yeah.
of it.
Well, because I landed 9 something and then I had to wait for baggage claim and then I had to get my Uber. So by the time that I got to the resort, it was going on 11. Because I had to go. I brought my stuff to the hotel room and then I had to go like run to the food court because I was starving and they were going to close at 11. So it was like 10:30, 10:40 ish when I got into our actual room and then I mobile ordered something as quickly as I could.
Pro
And
move.
then, right, yes, mobile order for the win for sure. And then what was that? That was Friday when I flew in. So Saturday, that was the day that I had to go to the expo. So we got onto a bus and we were waiting for Epcot and Natalie got recognized by somebody who ran at the race that morning.
Oh yeah.
That was so funny.
They were like,
Yeah.
"Were you Mary Poppins?" And she was like, "Yes. That was in
That
fact
was
me."
that was so
Hit me.
cute. Yep. Then we were waiting for the bus and a Hollywood Studios bus just pulled up and I was like, "You know what? We could just get on that because it'll be faster." A common theme for me is that I don't like waiting a long time for stuff. So, I was like, "I'm not going to wait for this Epcot bus. Let's just get on Hollywood Studios and we'll Skyliner over to Epcot instead."
I feel like your approach to not just Disney travel, although that's like what we're talking about right now, but also obviously like waiting in lines and stuff, is the same way Ben feels about like driving and traffic. If it's
Mm,
slightly longer path to get there, but it means he doesn't have to stop at all and he can just drive, he's gonna take that path versus the path that's like less mileage and you might get stuck at every single stoplight. And I feel like this is exactly your experience. Like if we have to get on,
maybe.
like we're gonna do a bus, like, we don't know how long the other bus is gonna be, so, like, that's valid, but then we're gonna get on a bus and a Skyliner and all these things, like, we're gonna go
Right.
on an adventure, but it's gonna be a
It kind
fun
of took
adventure.
longer, but yeah, it was fine. So we got onto the Hollywood Studios bus and then we got onto the Skyliner. And then as we were on the Skyliner, we all were like, well, we're really hungry. So let's stop at the Riviera. So that just added an extra stop for us. But I do love the Riviera. And Hannah hadn't seen it yet. Yes. So we got some pictures at the mosaics. Always have to stop at the mosaics every single time. So my whole Instagram archive is just the Peter Pan mosaics every single time that I go there. It's
You
great.
took a beautiful photo of me with the Tangled one.
Oh
Thank
my
you very
gosh, thank
much.
you. Oh, well, thank you for complimenting my photography skills. Uh, and then we went to Primo Piatto for a little late breakfast. It was like 10 in the morning. And it was like this egg souffle with Gruyere cheese thing. It was really good. I can't remember what it was called, but anything with Gruyere cheese, I have to get it because Austin is kind of a little bit obsessed with Gruyere cheese. Then after we went to Riviera, we were like, well, it's already 11 and the expo has just now started. So let's get on a Run Disney bus from the Riviera and we went to the expo.
Well, then we went to Epcot. We actually finally made it to the original destination.
Yes, finally. I was like very excited to get into Epcot because I hadn't even stepped foot into the parks yet on this trip. So, I was like, "Let's go."
Caitlin says it's not a Disney trip if you aren't in the parks before lunch. So I think she was having a bit of a crisis
Maybe
with
a
our
little bit.
timeline.
Well, I don't know. But remember my last trip in July, I was like, I'm going to stop rope dropping because it's way too crowded and busy in the morning. So it was definitely better when we got to Epcot in the afternoon. But things were pretty busy because we waited, what did we wait? Like 30, 35 minutes for Nemo. It
You
was,
what?
yeah, I
Okay,
know.
but to be fair, I had one. I
Yeah.
don't ever remember riding it, even as a child, and I had a migraine. So any ride where I just get to stand in the dark the whole time was like a great
I
option
felt
for me.
I felt really bad that you had a migraine. And the whole time I was like, are you sure you don't want to go back?
I was very committed to getting to ride Guardians of the Galaxy,
Hannah was a
guys.
trooper. And our
Natalie's having
boarding
a
group,
meltdown right now. Cannot believe we did this.
No, no, no. It's more that I can't believe that the line for Nemo was 30 minutes.
yeah.
That's what I find incredulous.
Mhm. Yeah, Nemo was about 35 minutes, which I love the queue for Nemo, but the ride is a ride.
Yeah, the
But
ride made
we
me feel a little bit sick when we got in. There's a section of the ride where you sit in what's
the
basically a movie
EAC,
theater kind of thing. Yeah. But it's like simulated motion because it's supposed to look like the water's rushing by, and it was making me very nauseous. So, and we got stuck.
I
Our
was going to
ride
say
vehicle got stuck. We did not
that
get
was the part we got
taken
stuck on.
backstage, unfortunately, but
I
I just
know.
closed my eyes and sat there and waited.
I was like, yay, more time that we get on the ride because we waited so long to get onto this thing. So poor Hannah. And then
Mhm.
we spent a lot of great time in the aquarium. I love the Epcot aquarium, the seas.
Mhm. We also rode Living with the Land. Natalie was there for that
Oh,
part.
yeah.
It was.
Lots of
Yes.
firsts happened for Hannah at Epcot.
Yes.
So,
I look, I probably did ride that one as a child. It's just I feel like the odds are in our favor on that guess, but I don't recall it, and it was really good. I really
living with the
enjoyed
land,
it. Yeah.
it's Austin's favorite.
And I had Caitlin and Natalie there to be like, "Look for this hidden Mickey. Look at this thing. This is an experience."
We love our veggie ride, though. So,
Mhm.
Veggie, veggie, fruit, fruit.
it's a good one. Yeah,
Yeah.
Natalie had to go to Disney Springs, but then Hannah had a lot of Epcot first. After we did Nemo, we did the Moana walkthrough attraction, which was very fun. I think that was like maybe my second time doing it. And I did more of the water experiences this time. That was very cute.
We didn't get wet. I was surprised because there were almost all of the water options you can do without getting wet, and they offer a like dry path if you don't want to. But there was also a few spots that I feel like if just like wrong place, wrong time, you would probably get wet if you no matter what you were trying to do.
But it was also hot. So
Yeah,
we
oh my
were
gosh, it felt
we were
good.
fine. Yeah, it felt great. In the few times that we wanted to get wet. So that was great. Oh, another first for Hannah was Spaceship Earth, which I
Mhm.
love it.
No,
Yeah,
okay.
it was a
Again,
first.
all of these
Okay.
firsts are adult firsts because I don't know. I have no
Like Mr.
recollection.
Natalie.
But yeah, it was a first because the last 2 times I've been with Ben, a lot of those rides that aren't like, I guess, thrill rides, like Ben's into thrill rides and I like thrill rides too. And so we always say like, "Oh, we'll come back to them." And then we don't because we're tired, I guess. But yeah. And race weekends, we usually give in. Like we're like, "Yeah, we're tired." Like
We smelled the burning scene in Rome and I told Hannah about the animatronic.
yeah, there's an animatronic that this is not safe for children, so maybe like skip ahead 10 seconds that is missing a face apparently, and they had to just like turn it around so people can't see it anymore.
You know the little newspaper boy who sang extra extra, read all about it? Somebody threw something at that animatronic once and it broke. And the Imagineers were like, well, instead of paying for it, we'll just turn him around and he faces the wall. And that is why he faces the wall. And then another one of the animatronics, I forget which one, he's like some philosopher dude. He is a recycled animatronic from Hall of Presidents. He was Dwight Eisenhower. And then
Wow.
I showed you the sleeping monk guy. He's probably one of my favorites.
I just enjoyed that we were on the ride and all of a sudden I was like, I hear Latin. That's Latin. What's going on?
Fun fact, do you know who speaks Latin on Spaceship Earth? The ride?
Yes, you told me. Oh, mm,
This is a quiz.
mm. His name is right on the tip of my tongue. His
Natalie,
face
do
is
you know?
inside Haunted Mansion.
The Tokyo Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
Oh, is it Joe Rody?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Joe Rody.
There we go.
He
I'm
speaks
terrible at names,
Latin.
guys. Terrible at names.
They had him be like Socrates or Aristotle, one of them. So, yeah, you can hear Joe Rody speaking Latin on Spaceship Earth.
Huh.
Yeah.
So it was a roller
Very
coaster.
interesting.
And another first we went on a literal and figurative roller coaster. I got my first photo with the Walt statue.
Yes. Daytime photos, because then you
Yes.
got more nighttime photos later.
Yes.
And one of my personal favorites, the bubblegum wall.
Yes. And again, you took great photos.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Yes, we got the like classic. I did some like jump shots, and with live photo and Caitlin's timing, some of them are hilarious to watch live because I like hit myself in the face or something.
No.
Yeah, I definitely like somehow do something like if you look at the right frame, it's embarrassing. But if you get the right one, I'm looking real cute in front of that bubblegum wall. So thank you.
It was a good bubblegum wall pick.
And then Natalie, you want to tell us about your trip to Disney Springs? Because I think that's
Hold on,
about
hold on,
everything
hold
we
on.
did.
Are we burying the lead here on your Guardians ride?
Yeah, I was gonna say
Well,
you
I
can't
guess.
just.
Well, I was thinking about it sequentially. We waited. We did. We waited a long time. Eventually, we
Our
did.
Guardians thing kept getting pushed back.
Yeah.
Mm.
Our yes. We'll talk Guardians. We had Natalie secured us a virtual queue spot for Guardians, and it was originally supposed to be at like
2:45.
I think even earlier than that because it was, or maybe it was almost exactly the time we had planned
We
on
had
going to a
literally
dinner.
planned this out perfectly too. Oh, right. It was gonna kind of conflict with the 2:30 dinner.
We were like, well, we'll just come back, but then we didn't, and it just kept getting pushed out. And this is when I also had the migraine. Another reason we ended up on Nemo because they kept pushing the time back and back and back, and we didn't end up getting called back. I want to say for another hour and a half at least.
Yeah.
Like I think we were there well after 4 by the time
I
we
think
got
we
in.
scanned in at like 4:15.
Yeah, and then
Mm-hmm.
I mean the line was short, so that was
The
good.
line was not too bad.
It was
My
what,
first
maybe 30 minutes shorter than
something
Nemo?
like that. Yes, it was shorter than Nemo. So that was crazy. My first Guardians ride, I waited an hour and a half for it.
Mhm.
So this was definitely way shorter.
And then Caitlin gave me her Pop-It while we were standing in line, which actually did help with the migraine because there's a lot of lights in that queue. And so I sort of was just like focusing on that. And she got her little handheld fan out and was like keeping me going. And I loved Guardians. It was
It's amazing.
so good. It is, if you've never ridden it, I won't spoil it, but my description, and it's probably not unique, I'm sure someone else has said this before, is that it is the perfect merger of both Space Mountain and Rock and Roller Coaster. Because that's
All right.
like, they're both dark rides, they're both inside, in the same way that on Space Mountain, like you don't know what's coming next and you can't see the rest of the ride at all because it's all dark in there. They just light up the parts that you need to see. They do the same thing on Rock and Roller Coaster. And it's not quite as, it's fast, but it's definitely not as fast as Rock and Roller Coaster, but it has the loud music and it has like this, they give you the sensation of it being like much faster and thrillier than it is because the ride vehicle moves. So it's a great ride. And those are two of my favorite rides in the entire park. So the fact that like I feel like this one is a merge of those two, I cannot wait to go back and fingers crossed, everyone fingers crossed, and like knock on wood or whatever, that Ben and I get a virtual queue marathon weekend.
Oh, yeah. I think it's like Space Mountain, but way smoother. That's what I was telling my mom. But I've heard the Imagineers kind of compared a little bit to Seven Dwarfs Mine Train just because it's got like that spinning sort of like with Mine Train
Maybe we
you
should merge
you
those three
swing.
then, because I haven't been on
Yeah.
Mine Train yet.
Hannah,
Look, we got to stop being shocked that I haven't been on things. If the line is normally a long line, then I probably haven't been on it.
do you want to tell them what song we got?
We got September.
Yay. My
It was a
second
good
time
one.
getting September.
Yeah, we were so Caitlin likes to make people
I make people
bet
guess stuff, yes.
on which
Before we go
song.
on rides.
And I did not know this, but apparently Natalie is only missing one.
I am only missing
She is
one.
only missing one of the songs that they play on the ride. I did not know which song that was.
Conga.
I guessed that song. I was like, "Oh, I think we'll get this song." And Caitlin immediately was like, "I think that would be bad if we got that song because it's the one that Natalie hasn't written and we're riding it without her." So, and luckily, but that's not what we got. I do think we told you that later and you were like, "Actually, I think that would have been funny." But I'm still
That
glad
would've been
that's not what happened.
Natalie,
my
do you have a
missing.
favorite?
September is my favorite.
Okay.
That one and Everybody Wants to Rule the World, those are my
Yes.
top 2, where that one just makes you feel so floaty through it. And
Yes.
that also was my first one, was Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
Mine
So,
too.
but September is also just such a vibe when you hear the first couple of bars and they're shooting you back. You're like, "Whoa!"
I feel like Tears
Great.
for Fears is the best vibe. But those are the only two that I've experienced so far. But I've had Tears for Fears 3 times out of the 5 times I've been on it.
Dang.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Disco Inferno as well. It's a good vibe. And maybe I'll like Congo when I eventually get it someday. So I was absent for this part. I had to go do a walk-up cancellation at Terralina at Disney Springs. So I guess a pro tip is, if for some reason you decide to kind of not do your reservation and you're within the 2-hour window, you can go to the restaurant and go say, "Hey, like, I'd like to forfeit my cancellation." Except what I ended up doing is that, because then I was running a little late because I had some cosmic errors. Not cosmic errors, but just like, I watched the ferry at Old Key West leave, like, as I was walking up to it. They're like, "It'll be
Tragedy.
20 more minutes." I'm like, "Great." I didn't even cancel. I was like, I too people pleasey to do this, so I'm going to sit here and at least order an appetizer. So I have done an actual walk-up cancellation before, where I think one time, like many moons ago, many years ago, where we were had be our guest and we didn't want to actually eat there. So I did the walk-up cancel and you don't get charged for it. Sometimes guest relations can do this, but Terralina is owned by a third party. So I wasn't sure if guest relations was going to be able to help me. So that's why I went there. And it ended up, I had a new experience of my own. I had never actually been to Salt and Straw at Disney Springs, and they have all kinds of funky flavors of ice cream. And they have some really good dairy-free options as well. So it had been on my list of things to try. I am not personally dairy-free, but somebody I often travel with is. I got buttered rolls and pumpkin pie tiramisu because they
Ooh.
had all kinds of Thanksgiving
That
flavors.
sounds like Willy Wonka type flavor combo. Like,
It
obviously,
was
those
really
two
good.
flavors go together, but the fact that it was ice cream,
Oh, they had all kinds. I think they had
wild.
like a like a stuffing flavor. But I tried the buttered rolls. Like, I got a little sample, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. But then I saw the pumpkin. I was like, well, it's got to go together. And I actually, the more of it I ate when I actually got the ice cream, I was like, the buttered rolls are so good. I took my ice cream with me to the Rise and Run meetup, which is in the food truck area near Disney Springs. Got to see a bunch of other people. Saw my friends Travis and Amanda. Got to socialize, talk with a bunch of the different people in the gang. Saw Puppet Runner. Apologized for last time I saw him, which was during the marathon, where I said hello only to Remy and not to Puppet Runner. He said it happens a lot. Little Remy had friendship bracelets on. He had one, Alan, our perfect marathoner, he makes this special type of friendship, like, if you have an Alan bracelet, you know what I'm talking about. Friendship bracelets. And then he also had one that that said Remy. It spelled Remy. It was the cutest little thing.
Oh.
Big puppet runner stand over here. He's so super, super nice. But it was good to chat with some different people. But then after that, I took the bus back.
And we beat you back.
Yeah, that was also surprising. Considering, I was coming from Disney Springs to Port Orleans, but
We all got a really good sleep that night, though. We got to bed at a good time. And I've never gotten so much sleep before a race. I think I have to thank you, Natalie, because like Ben and I are not disciplined in that way. And I was worried I wouldn't actually be able to fall asleep, but it was easier than I thought. I mean, we had a long day and I had a migraine, so I guess that probably helped. But I was supremely pleased to not wake up the next day with one. And definitely think chugging of liquid IV, taking Excedrin, and going to bed early helped with that. It also
wow.
definitely made me feel better for the race. So
I'm the sleep warden usually except this time I zonked so hard that didn't even have my chance to like yell, or not you guys because you're in the room with me, but like other people in the group chats of like, go to bed. The warden's here. Travis is the one who dubbed me the warden. He sent a message. He's like, the warden hasn't sent me like something like to tell me to go to bed yet, because I didn't read it until
the
next morning. One of those. Next day was a half.
Yeah. You elected to have a chill day.
I did. I am a pool rat through and through. I will ever forever be a pool rat. And especially a rat having done the Remy half marathon that day. And I do not get a lot of time to go in pool anymore since we moved from the apartment complex that had a pool that I could use, and it's late fall in the Midwest. So either way, there was no pool to be had. So I was, especially with how warm it was, I'm like,
It was really hot.
the pool sounds so nice. And actually, one of my mom's friends was like at the pool that day at the same time I was. Cause I was like, yeah, I'm just hanging out by the pool for a little bit. She's like, my mom's like, oh, my friend's there. You've met her. I'm like, I didn't end up seeing her, but I was like, that's so funny that she mentioned, or that she had mentioned that. But I was just kind of vibing in the pool area. Actually, it had been a while, I think, and I went to the main pool on Old Man Island. Actually, I got in the water, kind of paddled around, and that also does kind of help me a lot with like loosening my legs up a little bit. So I had a good time, just vibing. I made a friend next to me.
And while Natalie was chilling like a villain, Caitlin and I went to Hollywood Studios and we had a grand old time. Do you want to tell them what my other first was? Since apparently this is just turning into a podcast of Hannah, you haven't done that before? Or Hannah, you haven't tried that before?
We basically did two things at Hollywood Studios, which was great because we had like 2 hours or something. And then we also had no lightning lanes again, which Hollywood Studios
I
is
think we had a
one
good
of those.
experience considering.
We did. We did have a great experience. Like with 2 hours, like that's not a lot of time, especially in Hollywood Studios. It's one of those parks where like you have to have lightning lane, basically, if you want to get a lot
ride anything that's
accomplished.
popular or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And yet we still did two very popular attractions in
And
those
had
like
food.
two. Do we have food?
Yes, that's the first, Caitlin. Think about the food that is iconic from a place far, far away.
Oh my gosh. That was your first?
Yes.
That was that. I can't believe you hadn't been to Galaxy's Edge to eat food.
I had been to Galaxy's Edge. I've ridden the rides, but I think we've missed like the time cutoffs or something. I don't know, but we just hadn't had it. Like, I don't know how. We have Ben and I have a really long list of things, and it's a good thing we go back so often because I think that's the only way we're going to accomplish them all.
Well, we went to Ronto Roasters. That's what it was.
Yes.
We were starving after the half.
Yes.
And we mobile ordered and beelined it to Galaxy's Edge. And we got our afternoon Ronto wraps, which are very tasty. That was your first Ronto wrap?
It was indeed.
Wow. Look at you experiencing all these firsts.
Yeah. And then
did we get the coffee too? Why can't I remember
we
this?
contemplated. We did contemplate because I don't drink coffee, but we
that's right.
did walk by. We did talk about it. We discussed blue versus green milk.
Yes, I'm a fan of the blue milk.
I am also a bigger fan of the blue milk.
Likewise.
Oh, okay.
Blue across the board then.
We all agree. Nice.
And then you had a first. You tried out the Galaxy's Edge bathrooms. Look,
Very
they're nice
random
bathrooms.
first. They are, and they're very otherworldly with those big trough sinks.
And they have a
Yep,
water bottle filler like right across the way, so it's just a
I
good
did
location
experience
in
that too.
general. Yeah. Then we made our way to Rock and Roller Coaster because for the last 2 trips I've made to Disney, Rock and Roller Coaster has been closed, and Ben and I have been supremely disappointed and upset about it. Even though we knew about it going in, it's still a bummer because it's one of my favorite rides. It's probably one of the first thrill rides I ever rode as a child, and I remember going on it every single time with my family. I was extremely excited that we got to go on that. The line was while we were walking there, we got dumped on. It just started raining out of nowhere.
It did.
And so we hid
Yeah.
under a tree next
One of those
to
classic Orlando
Woody.
rainstorms. Yep. But 10
And
minutes and then it was over.
yeah. And luckily because we got under the tree when it started coming down, but it really came down after that. We stayed relatively dry.
It was because I didn't bring my raincoat that day.
Yes, you jinxed it in that way. This is
Mhm.
your warning, listeners. If you do not bring your raincoat in your bag, then it's going to happen. You're going
It's
to get
gonna
rained
rain.
on. So, it's very important that you pack your raincoat or your poncho or whatever, and then it won't rain. That's just how the world works.
That's how it worked for us the day before. We went on Rock and Roller Coaster, and another theme of this podcast was while we were in the queue, we made another TikTok. So that was cute. And we went on Rock and Roller Coaster. It was very cool. And then afterward, we still had some more time left before we had to get going to our dinner reservation. And so we went on Tower of Terror, which was the other big popular attraction. And while we were in line for that one, I also made Hannah guess what we were going to get on Rock Tower of Terror. I asked her, do you think it's going to make us go up first or drop us first? It's just a little game I like to play with people when we're on Tower of Terror, when we're in line for Tower of Terror. And it was a really good ride because not only did it drop us first, but we
Love.
also got, I know, I love it. I was wrong. I was happily wrong. I thought it was going to make us go up first. It dropped us, and there's this little like holographic ghost thing in the bottom of the elevator shaft, and we got the ghost. And that scares me. Have you ever gotten the ghost before?
I have. It's been a long time since I've gotten the holographic ghosts.
That holographic ghost, I've only gotten it like a few times, but every time that I see it, it scares the bejesus out of me. And I was screaming like a small child. Hannah told me that I was going to hurt her eardrums. So
Yeah, I was a little concerned. Just a
I get
titch.
really scared on these rides, okay?
I
I'm a
was
29-year-old who's scared of Tower of Terror and Dinosaur, all right?
Look, there was a kid in front of us in the middle
She
row
was
with
great. Oh,
she
she
did
was braver than
she
me.
did so well. She was definitely freaking out while they were loading the ride vehicle. Definitely regretting her choice is probably the best way to put it. When we were actually like proceeding, and she definitely made a beeline, but she was silent and like very stoic the entire time, whereas Caitlin was screaming. So Caitlin was not helping, but Caitlin was also enjoying. So like you
Yeah,
did a good job. You did a good job.
sorry.
I think you were brave. I I think you were brave.
I love Tower of Terror.
I love
It's just
that
that
ride. It just
it's
makes my
that
stomach feel
holographic
funny.
ghost.
It's the holographic ghost that gotcha.
Yep. See, dinosaur is scary to me too, and it also makes my tummy feel funny. So,
I luckily escaped that. I don't want no spoilers for later, but you know. I think at that point, we basically had to beeline it to Wilderness Lodge to make sure that we were on time for our dinner reservation. I think we were standing in line for Tower of Terror a little uncertain if the wait time posted, we would have had plenty of time, but it just felt like we were in line forever. It didn't feel like it was moving, but luckily we had plenty of time. We were early to dinner and we had a chance to Caitlin did a beautiful Disney bound
oh, thank
for
you. I was
dinner.
gonna say I
So
had
she had a
4
time to
different
change.
outfits that day. It was a really long day.
She was dressed as Snow White because we were going to storybook dining and she wanted to fit in with her friends. And we also met some other runners while we were hanging out in the lobby. They have very comfortable chairs there. So while we were waiting for Natalie to meet us, we discussed how their races had gone. I admired their awesome jumbo fanny packs that said run on them. They had a little, the running Mickey as the U in the middle. It was very cute. Caitlin did not realize it was really cute. And I think they told us they got them on Etsy or something. So there's a lot of small shops out there. If you're looking for something similar, then go after it. Once Natalie met us for our dinner reservation at Storybook Dining, that's at Artist Point in the Wilderness Lodge. We had a 4 p.m. reservation, and I think this was kind of like a bucket list item for all of us. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, obviously, we're also we're trying to go during marathon as well because Natalie and I are running dopey, so we want to be able to get that pick with our medals. But I was so stinking excited and happy with how amazing the experience was. I've never been to a character dining as an adult either. So like I was not sure how I was going to feel about it. I'm kind of awkward. I don't really know how to interact with characters, but we had a ball.
It was so good. And I keep deluding myself sometimes into like a kind of like a treat meal. And my cousin is very, and I are both guilty of this, where we'll be like, oh, well, this is like a one-time thing. And then we enjoy it too much. And then we're like, dang it. We're gonna have to do this, not every trip, but again, we're definitely gonna have, and this is what this was too.
This is the same sensation for a lot of people where you think you're going to run a marathon once and it's going to be like a once in a lifetime. And then like a week later, you sign up for another one and you're like, dang it.
Oh man. But it was just so incredible. We had the cutest family at the table next to
Oh
us
my
too.
gosh. Yes. I,
I was
oh.
dying.
Okay, so the other fun part about just being a Disney period is like the people watching. And for me, character dining is, well, obviously, like you get pictures of the characters and you can get autographs and stuff. But I think for me, half the joy I get out of the experience is seeing how stinking happy the little kids are. They say the cutest things. When they just like hug them and won't let go, adorable. It's just magical. Natalie and I got the same thing. Caitlin was the original, like, she stood out. She picked something else. I don't
I got
remember.
the
What'd you get?
salmon. I
Oh,
got the
yeah.
salmon.
It looked good.
It also came with a side of risotto. It was fabulous.
I'm a big risotto fan. I'm very picky about salmon. So if there had been like a way to swap it out, I think I might have gotten what you got. But then Natalie and I had the prime rib. That was a big slice of prime rib. It was like as big as our heads.
It was a big plate and it like filled the plate.
Yeah.
That popover was like the size of your heads.
That's true. Honestly, everything on that plate was humongous. We also had some kind of vegetable.
I think you guys had carrots. I had Brussels sprouts,
Ah, there we go. That's where I was
which
coming
were
up with that.
also cooked very well.
Hmm.
And I'm not a big Brussels sprout fan.
Oh, we also had horseradish mashed potatoes. That's what the other thing was. I was like, there's still something else I'm forgetting. And they were very garlicky and very horseradishy. So a good note. And then we had shared desserts. We also had shared appetizers. So like that's kind of the vibe there is you pick your main and everything else has been selected for you by Snow White.
Hope not the evil queen. I'd have some questions about her judgment.
Yeah. I mean
Speaking of the evil queen, she was awesome.
I've never
She and
seen.
Dopey.
Oh my god. She was just the best. The
She was incredible. She told us afterward, because we told her that we did the Run Disney races that weekend. She said, oh, if you want some poisoned apples, that might be good for recovery.
they're good for sleep, so they're good for recovery.
I felt like I was watching a Broadway style performance of like
Yes.
all the choices, the acting. I loved it. She was incredibly amazing. All of the mannerisms. Amazing. I
Mhm.
loved her.
And then we also met the dwarves. One of them was definitely trying to steal Natalie's heart, trying to get in between you and Mr. Natalie.
Yes. My guy, Mr. Dopey. While I didn't have a bound, I did have my Zippity Tees Dopey Class of 2025 shirt on. I love him. He just, even just watching him bop around the restaurant at other tables made me so, so happy. Dopey is just precious. Just the happiest
Mhm.
guy ever. And he was so into like meeting us and like just
Mhm.
like little smooches from
Yeah, I think
Dopey
he
and
gave
like
us each a little kiss on the cheek.
it was so cute. I love him.
Well, because at first, Dopey got really excited to see my Snow White bound
Oh,
outfit.
yeah.
And I
Yes.
brought a lounge fly that has Snow White and each of the 7 dwarfs on it. So Dopey found himself immediately on my bag and he was extremely excited. And I said, well, if you're excited to see this, you better look at my friend Natalie and see what she's wearing. And then the love affair started from there.
It is true.
Sorry, Mr. Natalie.
See, Mr. Natalie knows that like Dopey, he's like part of the relationship. Like he proposed to me while I was training for my first Dopey. He married me under the guise knowing that Dopey is a love of mine. So it's okay. My brain chemistry was altered by that interaction with Dopey.
Mm.
And then seeing him with the little kitties next to us, it was so cute. Dad was like trying to take the picture. I'm like, do you want to get in the picture? So like every time the characters came by, I like took pictures for them. And he's like, oh, do you want me to get you guys too? So that was like ally yourself.
Be a good neighbor.
But it was so cute. I'm like, oh, I want to make sure everybody gets in the picture.
Yeah.
Especially sometimes when I'm alone at a character dining, which like sometimes could look sus. I feel like being overtly friendly to other people, it's like, oh, she's not sus. She's just here to have a good time.
And then we met Grumpy. Grumpy and I had a little bit of a love affair. He was giving me some kisses. He wanted to have me on his arm. He was a big
Oh, yeah.
fan. He was scolding a lot of other people in the restaurant, but not me.
He and I were beefing because I taking a picture for the table next to us. I was like, okay, say Dopey. And he came up and scolded me, gave me the hand when he was leaving. It was so funny. I was like, oh, I mean Grumpy. Like I said it on purpose to see what he would do.
I feel really bad with my interaction with Grumpy because he was also amazing. But at first, he started to like me and he was kind of being not grumpy with me because he liked my outfit and he also saw himself on my Loungefly bag. And then I was like, oh, what is something that Snow White would say? And so I was like, okay, Grumpy, go back to work now. and then and then Grumpy started being so mean to me, and I just feel so bad.
He had beef.
Maybe you'll get your
Not the rib.
redemption marathon weekend.
Maybe. I feel really bad for Grumpy. I was just like, what would Snow White say? Okay, go back to work now. Because our interaction was over. And I was like, all right, back to work. Okay, bye, Grumpy. And he was like, oh, how dare you?
And then we met Snow White, but did we take pictures with Snow White? Because I
We
think
literally
we just kinda
got
talked
one
to her
photo.
as a group,
She
right?
did, because they were like about to do their dance or something again.
Oh.
And so
yeah.
we got one group photo of the 3 of us with Snow White.
Mhm.
And I was like, hey, Snow White, hope you don't mind that I kind of copied your outfit. And she was like, okay. And then she left. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh.
We did.
She is only 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that would have been a little weird.
We did get a second visit from Dopey, though, because the first round of visits, I was so busy making sure that I got photos of Caitlin and Natalie and like their amazing experiences that Dopey left without saying hi to me. And
Dopey was so fast.
He was.
With you.
He
just
was.
like quick little smooch and then he was like gone. And I was like,
Bye.
no, Dopey. I was like, do that again. I was like, let me get my phone out, Dopey. And then he just was like, oh, hey, I like your outfit. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. And then so Natalie and Caitlin, they spoke with a cast member and asked if it would be possible for Dopey to swing around again so I could get a picture, to which while they're saying to said person, I'm like giving the no, cut it off. This is not necessary. I'm embarrassed movement. They still made it happen. And I'm really glad they did because I got a really cute photo with him when he came back because we were standing next to each other and Dopey did the classic like hands on his ears, like ha 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 face. And so I went and I also stuck my foot out and like grabbed my ears, and it's a very cute photo. It might be one of my favorite character photos I've ever gotten, which I'm pretty sure Caitlin also took that photo. Caitlin basically took most of my photos this weekend.
I mean, thank you. My photography skills are getting a little bit better. So,
We got to stay on top of it if we want to have an Instagram and a social media presence. I'm not usually very good at it. I would like go through an entire Disney weekend without taking a single photo and get home and be like, whoop.
what?
It's just, I don't know. I'm just not, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm just not that kind of person. I don't remember to take photos. I'm like so in it. I forget that that's a thing people do.
I kind of do that too. But see, aren't you glad that you got that second meet and greet with Dopey?
I am. I am glad. Yes. Even if I was embarrassed to initially, it's not even putting up a fuss. Like genuinely, they were not bothered by it. I'm just like, it's recovering people pleaser. I don't want to even potentially put myself in a situation where I'm making people do extra work. They were also kind about it, and it was great. And then after we had dinner, we made our way over to Magic Kingdom to see some Christmas decor. And Caitlin cried. Caitlin, tell us about this overwhelming, beautiful experience you had.
I have,
I didn't realize you were serious when you told us you were going to cry.
yeah. Well, because in all of my Disney experiences in my life, I have yet to see the Christmas decorations of Magic Kingdom. This was also the first time that I had stepped foot in Magic Kingdom on this trip, and my last trip I didn't get to go to Magic Kingdom, so it had been a while since I saw Cindy's Castle. And we had been awake for so long, and I was like, I'm here with my friends, and this is the first time that I'm seeing the castle. And so I just got a little bit emotional, and I'm like gonna get emotional again. Oh my god, you
Happy
guys,
tears.
stop.
It was a beautiful experience.
It
I've
was
also I don't maybe not ever because we never went at Christmas time as a child. So it was the first time. I remember I sent a picture to my mom and my mom was excited that the Christmas she was like, "Oh my gosh, are they already up?" You walk we took a picture with out front in front of the
the
train
train
station
station,
and they have the big landscaped Mickey. And he's got his
topiaries,
Christmas hat on in that one, and then they had the topiaries. They had Christmas hats on, and then you walk past the train station and it's just all there in front of you. And you can see the tree and you can see the lights on all the buildings and all the wreaths, and it was like walking into a winter wonderland. There may not
and
have
they were
been
playing
snow, but
Christmas music.
it was great. Yeah, it was a gorgeous tree.
And because it was dark already, like, it was already
Hmm.
lit for the night too, so it was also
It was
Yeah.
lit, and it was lit.
true.
Yeah, they're going with like this year the Christmas decorations, like the wreaths, it was definitely a more like classic traditional vibe. Like there was fruit in the wreaths, and I know the 90s are coming back again, but like it felt like the decorations of my childhood. So like I think that made it even extra special to me. Like it felt like the stuff my mom decorates with, which made it feel like even more like cozy comforting. They also had some wreaths that I think were supposed to like on the lampposts that were supposed to have candy canes, and I don't know if they weren't done decorating them or not, but they also kind of looked like bunnies. So I'm hoping they added some extra garland to that because that was a funny tidbit of some of the decorations. We got some photos that night. That was good. So we've got photos with the castle and Christmas decorations sort of all in one. Natalie got like a really fun selfie under the tree. We did not wait in line for the photo pass for the tree. That line was interesting. To say the least. It's all split up too because the tree's in the middle, so they don't want people blocking too much. Yeah, we got those. I really liked those photos. It's definitely hard to get like a really good nighttime photo, and I didn't think any of mine were too like blurry or anything.
Understood the assignment
Yeah.
in terms of the metal picks and also tolerated me, like, 'cause I had them all, like, not or stacked in my hand,
Hmm.
holding them, all 4 ribbons, and then I also did the all 4 on my neck, and then appreciated that it was 4 and not 8 or 6 in times past where it's been that or will be again for Dopey. I had somebody else do my stack last Dopey for in my hand because, like, 6 medals I was holding on to that for dear life because I thought I was going to drop something.
Yeah, they get
Also, you can do 3 and 3.
if you've seen I mean, if you were at a race at the race weekend at the expo, you could see the medals for this coming marathon weekend, and they are humongous and they are heavy. So I'm nervous about that coming January. After our photos, though, we kind of split a little bit. Caitlin, I think the
I
sleep,
had to go to the room.
the
I
vibes.
had yeah. It was funny because listening back to our other podcast episodes, I was the one who was like, "We have to go to the after party. We're definitely going to go." And then in the moment I was like, "Oh my god. I don't know if I can make it to the after party." I was also really trying that day to get my total mileage up to 26 miles. It did not happen, but I was trying and I
It's
was so
probably for the
tired.
best.
I got up to 24 point something. It was a lot of mileage. And we had
Yeah.
gotten up at 2 a.m. So I had to go lay down.
Nap
And
and
I
rally.
also I had a separate outfit. This was so obnoxious of me. I had a separate outfit planned for the after party. So I kind of wanted to take off my Snow White bound and put on my after party outfit to get 4 outfits for the day.
That's crazy. I could never change that much. I would definitely not be meant for like Victorian era where they changed their clothes a bunch of times. um, but while you went back and napped and rallied, as a
And I
true
also
Miamian would,
posted another TikTok.
you did that. And Natalie and I rode Buzz Lightyear and the People Mover, which were good. Natalie crushed me. I'm just like not good at Buzz. Even though I know, like she was telling me the places where you can score for high points, I'm just really bad at aiming. Like I just cannot hit anything apparently. So I'm not good at
You
that ride.
know,
I do love that ride. I'm just not good at it.
Space Ranger spin is really hard because I'm also very bad at it, but I think it's because you can't tell where you're aiming. So, Hannah, if you ever go out to Disneyland, their Buzz Lightyear, you can see where the laser's pointing at. Much easier.
I'm worse at that one. That
Really?
one I'm worse at because
That's
this one, what
wild.
I do is I do like test shots in the room when you're like before you enter the first room with targets in it. I do some test shots. I do like the math in my head of where my angle is, and like this one's mine. I got a double gun. I've gotten it twice.
You're insane.
I'm
It's boot
bad
camp.
at the Florida one. I'm better at the California version of Buzz. So you can also pick up the holster
I
in
think that would make
California.
me better, just being able to take it off the ride vehicle, but then you well, not completely, but I was gonna say you lose competitive thing if you're the one trying to spin the vehicle to stop your opponent. I definitely think it would still mess with you. Anywho, we did also ride People Mover. That was a vibe. I love riding People Mover, especially at dark or after dark. Just seeing all the lights. It's an experience. And it was nice to have like it's a longer ride, have a few minutes to like sit. We sat like not across from each other, put our feet up. It stopped twice. So
Yeah.
we thought we might get a chance to get walked off. Alas, we did not. And then I think shortly after that, we just ended up making our way to Epcot because we were trying to decide which fireworks
Fireworks show.
show. Yeah, thank you. Which fireworks show we wanted to watch, and we ended up opting for the Luminous show at Epcot before the after party started, which I think was a really good call. We weren't like in any kind of rush. We got all of our stuff to go into the after party, and we ended up getting ourselves a really good spot to watch the fireworks from. We were just to the left of port of entry, like the gift shop that's to
Mhm.
the left on the left side of that building, and there's a water fountain there, and it looks like it's going to be a really blocked view because there's a bunch of trees and like landscaping right there. And we sat on the ground and then some lady left, so then we sat on the bench. But actually, with how all the fireworks shoot off, like you don't actually miss anything. You're It was a perfect view and we were comfortable and we had water and it was just like it was nice. Also, I cried because I like the songs in that one.
It's growing on me a lot.
Yeah, and then once the fireworks were done, we went ahead and got in line to wait for the after party to technically start because there's like an hour gap between when Epcot closes and the after party actually starts. And we were waiting for this exclusive drink for the party, but they won't actually sell it to you until the party starts. But this apparently, according to Natalie, these cups like sell out every year. So we had to get in line early. Caitlin met us at that place. she brought our t-shirts, or my t-shirt because I forgot mine, and we had a very special outfit for the after party. Caitlin, do you want to tell us about it?
We got shirts. Specifically, Natalie got us shirts.
Yes. Natalie was a champ. She found a local t-shirt shop. Do you want to shout them
Yes.
out? Because they did a good job.
The person who designed them was fantastic with it. It was Retro Shirts in Omaha, Nebraska. So shout out to them. They did a really good job. Really quick
Oh,
too.
yeah. It was like 24-hour turnaround or something, wasn't it? It was really
Yeah,
fast.
he's like, "Do you need them any quicker?" I'm like, "Oh, no, no, no. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't 2 weeks." He's like, "Oh, no, no, not for 3 shirts." That was fantastic. And speaking of Nebraska, we met some nice Nebraskans in
We
line.
did. And they asked about our podcast.
They kind of shooting it with them, and it's like, "Oh, you know, I'm in Omaha." Like, "Oh, we're in Lincoln." Very, very small world. So it's great to meet fellow Nebraskans. It's the 6 degrees of separations from Nebraska. You know, you can yell "Go Big Red" and like somebody probably will answer to you. They were super duper nice, and it was nice to have a friend or a
Yeah.
fellow people of the corn
Yes.
and a blinky cup.
And for the Blinky Cup, as Caitlin has specified before, lines are not her thing. At least not long lines. Long lines are
Okay.
not Caitlin's thing.
But also, with the Blinky cup, more importantly, okay, I need another cup in my house like I need a hole in my head. And,
Fair.
you know, I've said this before, Austin has epilepsy.
That's,
That
yeah.
Blinky cup
Yeah.
is like a big strobe.
Yes.
So
Fair.
there was no way I was gonna get that Blinky cup.
So Caitlin did her duty essentially to the podcast, and she scoped out all the ride lines and their ride times while we waited in line. And then honestly, at that point, you just like you went on a tirade. You rode so much stuff, didn't you, at this party?
You know, it's all about efficiency, okay? So, if you are a Disney cast member out there, you know what those 5 keys are. Alrighty. And I hold up that efficiency key to the best of my ability, all right? So, yeah. I went on 5 rides.
Like at the beginning of the night, they definitely still had long lines, for sure. Like when we walked past Ratatouille and Frozen, they were both like an hour or longer in the first hour of the party. But then by the second half of the party, that was when I ended up riding rides. The times were way shorter. I ended up riding Ratatouille. I think it was a listed 35-minute wait, but I think I was only in line for 25 minutes. And I ended up riding Frozen, which Natalie and I attempted to wait in line for, and I was really getting tired, almost called it quits because it was still a long line, but I'd never ridden it, and same with Ratatouille. And I was like dead set that those were the rides I was going to get in. They closed the ride down after we had been standing in line for over 30 minutes, maybe even 45.
I think I even dipped out before then because I had seen that
Oh, yeah,
the
you dipped out, like, well before then. You probably dipped out, like, I don't know, 10 minutes in?
yeah, because one of the group chats I'm in was saying because they had Powerline Max out,
Yeah.
and you don't see Powerline Max many places. You see him dance down the street in at Mickey's Not So Scary. You can sometimes see him at a Run Disney event, but this was a Run Disney event. So I had heard that there were only like 10 to 20 people in the line. So, and we had passed him and they were about to close the line and then he wouldn't be back out till 11. So I scurried my way over to Italy because I really wanted to get the picture with him because
It was a good call. It would have been a big bummer if you had waited. I mean, obviously, like, I waited in line, but then later that night, I did end up going back. It was, like, on my last pass, I was like, "If it's open, I'm getting in line. If it's not, I'm going home." Well, it was running again. It was a complete walk-on. I waited 0 minutes. And they squeezed me in with a group of strangers because there was literally no one else in line with me, and I guess they didn't wanna put me on a boat by myself. Would have been an experience. I would have liked to have ridden on a boat by myself, but oh well. I don't know what the ride mechanics work like for that, if there's some kind of weight distribution or anything, but it was a very enjoyable ride. I was surprised at the drops that exist considering it's like a little kid boat ride. It was really enjoyable, and like I love Frozen, so the opportunity to sing along was very exciting experience for me. And then after Frozen, I did make one more attempt to get into the Guardians of the Galaxy line. And as I walked up to the line, which I must have just missed you, Caitlin, because they told me right as I walked up that the line, like they had just closed the line and no one else could get in line. And I was very bummed. But it was honestly probably for the best because I was delirious by that point.
Yeah, they closed the Guardians line pretty early this year. I think an uncharacteristic for me level of poopage. As we had scoped out the line earlier in the night, I'd gotten a tipsy ducks in love as one does, and it was actually just funny to watch people watch. Because
Yeah.
the DJs were bumping. It was funny because Hannah and I were discussing. It's like, okay, like the hot to go dance is like,
Which
it's
I
like
had
this.
just learned about from Caitlin the day before. Didn't know what it
I
was.
hope they play Hot to Go.
Was like that's like what, like the Soldier Boy, like it's kind of
Yeah.
funny of like like everyone knows it in a way, or
It's totally like the Soulja Boy of 2024. That's hilarious.
And I didn't realize, like, okay, so I didn't know about it, period. Had no idea what people were talking about when they said hot to go, until Caitlin explained to me while we were waiting for Rock and Roller Coaster. And then we made a TikTok about it. But I didn't understand that there was a dance that went with it until I was watching people walk out of Guardians of the Galaxy and it was playing from the DJ and people were doing it. And I was like, it's like the YMCA.
It is.
when we were over near there, it was posted 60, and like I know especially for Guardians, they kind of during the after party they kind of exaggerate the wait. Where last year I got in line when it was 75 minutes, it was the last half hour of the party. I waited 25 maybe. Those were a struggleful 25 minutes though. I remember like kind of like leaning against the wall. I'm like, who am I, Hedwig? Like, what am I doing here? But I did go on. It was fun. I knew it was probably not quite 60, but also it was, I don't know. Again, expert level of poopage here of just being kind of tired. I think I didn't actually go on a ride during the after party. I think I was just vibing. I got beer cheese soup from Canada, which that made me really happy, and stopped over in the UK. Mary Poppins and Bert were out, and I waited for their line as well. Met up with my friend Adam, but that was when I had my beer cheese soup, and that was good to see him. And then I was slowly starting to meander toward the front of the park. I got some mac and cheese in Communicore Hall and witnessed the just most legendary Daisy Duck I've ever seen, because the DJ CJ was right outside in that little new area of outside Communicore Hall, and he was absolutely bumping the tunes. And it's funny to hear things that you wouldn't hear just watching Daisy Duck getting down to Gasolina. And I was not fast enough to pull out my phone to record that. But then a country song came on, and she was like lasso, or like whipping her little lasso around, like in tune, like dancing. Honestly, I laughed because then I had to get in her line for like the third picture with her that weekend. And because I was just laughing the whole time because she was so funny. And like she was dancing, I was dancing with her. A legend, an icon. She's our duck. She's our girl. And after that, I'm like, I'm not sure that my evening can get any better than that. It's time to go.
Considering how excited I was about this festival and like it being food and wine and that the booths were going to be open and stuff, I did not try a single food during the after party.
Oh, I got a Euro too.
Isn't that tragic?
I'm not super
Sad.
surprised though, because I feel like sometimes I don't either.
I feel
'Cause
like
last year
that's my new reputation of like, you didn't try this? You didn't do it? No.
Eh,
I
no,
tried
mom.
the chocolate fondue from the Germany booth.
How was it? It
Ooh.
sounds like it would be really good.
Was it the party talking or was it the chocolate fondue? I don't know.
True.
It was like going on hour 22 of being awake. It was really good though. And then I forget what song the DJ was playing, but the cast members, they were like on their college program and they were all just like dancing and goofing off because it was like midnight and I was like, I want to be a cast member again. They were being
Oh.
so cute.
I encountered a lot of cast members dancing, especially in Germany. Germany was like, that's all they were doing. They were dancing and they were having a great time. But as I was walking past, it was Cotton Eye Joe came on.
Ooh.
And so everyone was doing the dance, but I was like on a mission speed walking to my next ride opportunity. And some random guy I think he was with his wife, and his wife was a little bit embarrassed because he was trying to get anyone and everyone to do the dance with him. And he was like, he came up to me and he's like, I know you know the dance. I know you can do it. And I was like, okay, someone's having a little too much fun. And so I was like, okay, I turned around and then I paused and I actually did the dance because he couldn't do the dance. He was just sort of like doing the lasso thing.
That's
And his
hilarious.
wife or girlfriend or whoever he was with looked at him and was like, "She actually knows the dance, honey. I think you maybe have, stumbled into a little bit too much." And then I
Nice.
walked away.
Disney After Dark with people who most likely haven't napped,
Mhm.
and I love it. I love it. I think that the best value for this party, if you're somebody who's, like, buying a ticket, is in your last, like, third of it, to be
Mhm. For
honest,
sure,
because
the
that's
last
when
hour.
everybody poops out and goes to bed. So, um, but definitely, if you're doing this as a replacement for your ticket, you do get in at 5 p.m. Boys to Men was the Eat to the Beat concert that evening, so, heard really good things about that, and, definitely a decent value for it, and I know some of the other characters, like Sweetnums was out. He was also a distance meet and greet the same way he was on the course, but, I know my friend Adam, he sent in all caps, "This is worth the price of admission. It's Sweetnums." Big Muppet fan over here.
Yeah, and then I think that was pretty much the after party. It was, I mean, even though we were slap happy and delirious, I think we all had a really good time. The next day, we're a little sleep deprived. I think we slept a little bit longer, but we had plans to go to Animal Kingdom. Natalie woke up first and made her way there. I was shortly followed behind her in a quest to catch up. uh, and Caitlin needed some recovery. She needed a good old sleep. So we left her to her deep sleep. She was
I slept until 11 in the morning.
yeah.
It
I haven't
was
slept that late
it was a lot.
outside of being sick since I was a teenager.
It was
So you
such a
needed it.
deep sleep. I had one of those moments where I was like, what day is it? Where am I? Am I supposed to be at school right now?
I mean, to be fair, we did leave all the lights off and not open the curtains at all. Like, it was still probably pitch black when you woke up.
It
So,
was. I
yeah,
was extremely confused.
very
I was
disorienting.
dazed and confused over here.
Yeah. And so while Caitlin was sleeping, Natalie went straight to Nomad Lounge.
As one does.
And to be fair, when she got there, there were many open spots at the bar. But I was like 1 or 2 buses behind her in my arrival, and I was beelining it. I was speed walking. I probably looked embarrassing with how fast I was walking at the park. When I got there, I asked if I could have a seat at the bar, and they told me no. And I was like, "Okay." And I didn't really know how to recover from that. I wasn't like, because I know you can't, like, there's no wait list for the bar. It's just first come, first serve. And so I was like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do now. Natalie's in there. I'm by myself. I'm starving. What do I do? And you texted me that like you thought the person next to you was like gonna be done soon. So I sat on the curb outside by myself, looking probably rather sad to the poor cast members. Just sat there and eventually went back to the cast member, was like, "Hey, my friend is already in there at the bar. I know that I can't put my name on the list, but I just want you to know that I'm gonna keep sitting here and I want to sit at the bar. So like please," like basically I wanted them to know that like if someone else came up and asked about the bar that they didn't like let that person in over me. Eventually I did make it in after waiting for, I want to say, almost 30 minutes. Natalie had a great time, but we were on completely opposite sides of the bar. The person that I was entered in with that I sat next to had absolutely no interest in speaking with me. So I was just like there, ordered food. I wasn't drinking alcohol because we had just run and I was sleep deprived and I just didn't think that was like a good mix for me that day. And so I was just sitting there feeling awkward that no one would talk to me. Like, not even the bartender was really talking to me because he was busy. So I was like waiting. And then eventually someone got up and I like asked to be moved seats, and I finished out like dessert by Natalie. And then by the time we got out, I think you had awoken, Caitlin, but you hadn't made it to the park yet because we were possibly on Everest, I think, when you finally let us know that you were awake, like in line for Everest or like making our way that direction.
When we were going to Dino Land is when we saw signs of life, which is ironic because it's all about extinction over there.
Wow.
I mean, I'm glad that you weren't extinct. I'm glad that you made it.
Yes. Oh, yes,
Well,
yes,
thank
yes.
you.
No, just where we were, because Dino Land's about to go extinct, so
It was
It
all
is. That
good.
is sad.
I got to meet Russell and Doug from the movie Up, and I hadn't done that yet. And then I got some more badges on my Play Disney Parks app because I was walking through the Gorilla Falls trek.
Mm.
So, and I went to Harambe Market, got a very good pita wrap. I can't remember what was in it, like lamb. It was really
Ooh.
good. I was so full. I could not have gone on Dinosaur right after that.
We rode Everest once, well, before you got there, and I think it was like a 20-ish minute wait. It wasn't very
That's
long.
not bad.
It
No.
was pretty fast. And then we went to Dino Land because I wanted to ride Dinosaur. We waited probably way, way too long for Dinosaur, but also knowing that I would have minimal chances and I hadn't ridden it, I was willing to forego any kind of line, and it was AC and it was really hot outside.
So it was down.
Yes,
It
it
was
went
like
down either right before we got in line or, like, right as we got in line, but we didn't, quite know that.
well, they made it clear there's like, we're experiencing delays, and we're like, "Well, if we get in line, we're gonna get into the AC part."
Yes, and a lot of people got out of line, so then we did jump up pretty far because people kept leaving the line. I think in total, we waited just shy of 40 minutes,
Yeah, I think something like that.
which, like, later in the day, it was, like, back down to, like, 15 minutes wait time
Yeah.
or something, but actually, considering I had never ridden it before, I enjoyed the fact that the line took a little bit longer because it gave me a lot of time to, like, look at the queue, see all the, like, design elements that since I'm only ever maybe gonna get to ride it a few more times during marathon weekend, I really wanted to, like, take in and absorb, and we got to hang out in the AC for a while, and I was struggling, so that was nice. Then we got a photo experience that was this one of your challenges, Natalie, or was this just like a bucket list check?
This was just a bucket list check of Chip and Dale have little dino outfits that they wear, and they are the cutest thing.
Do you think we're not gonna see the outfits anymore once Dino Land is no more?
I have the feel maybe it'll be something they bring out for Run Disney or something like that, and
Mm,
but I
or
don't know if
Halloween.
we'll see them. Yes, or those will be their Halloween costumes, but I don't know if we'll see them as frequently anymore.
Mm,
So I wanted to make sure I got them. We
yeah.
also did Triceratops spin because
Well, you
we
might as well.
clowns we clowns, are going to ruin, like, the queue for that the last day that it's open during the marathon, because that's become a little unofficial Run Disney tradition during the marathon is to do Triceratops spin because it's right there
Mhm.
along the marathon course, so we're gonna that's the marathon is the last day that it will be open. So we clowns are gonna ruin that. So we made sure we went on it. But yeah, Chip and Dale in their little dino outfits was so, so
They were
cute.
so cute, and there was a family ahead of us with 2 small children, one with an autograph book and one that was, like, just barely able to walk, like, barely. I don't even know if they were verbal. Um, but they were so cute, and the little one just wanted to give hug after hug after hug to both Chip and Dale, and, like, eventually, the mom ended up having to kind of, like, do, like, an interception situation because I think she was starting to get a little bit conscious of the fact that there was a line, but the cast members and the characters did an amazing job. They'll never if you don't know this, like, I think there's, like, an unwritten rule that or maybe it is a written rule because I haven't been a cast member, so I don't know. Caitlin, you can chime in. Is that uh, a character is never going to stop giving a child a hug until the
Yes.
child ends the hug, or maybe
Yes.
even an adult. I don't know,
Oh, I don't know about adults
but if a hug
because,
is initiated, they are not going to end it first, and
right,
it
the
was a
child
very
has to
adorable.
break away from the hug first.
So
It was so
it was
cute.
definitely very charming. I don't know. I don't know. I love
It's
kids.
heartwarming.
Yes, heartwarming. There you go. To see how much joy Chip and Dale were bringing to those kids. And then we got to get our photos.
We were both wearing our Wine and Dine hats.
Hmm.
So it was cute, but they're so cute.
I think I also got a kiss from Chip or Dale. A lot of kisses from characters on this trip.
Sorry, Ben.
Good thing he's not the jealous type. And then this picture opportunity is where we all got back together. So we all met up, and then if you've seen our Instagram, check us out. That's where we got our medal photos in front of the tree of life together and individually. At that point, Natalie, being a pool rat, you split off again for another pool opportunity.
It's called a side quest. Well, again, it was been hot out, so it's like honestly, like Blizzard Beach is right there. And it was funny because I didn't originally renew my water park pass this year. I just did the photo pass with my renewal, and I was like, I don't know if I really want to. And then like at this point in the trip, I'm like, water. So I went over to Blizzard Beach and I added that onto my annual pass and enjoyed some time at Blizzard. And then it did start pouring, which was kind of funny. I was under an umbrella because I had gotten some food. I got some nachos; those were pretty good. Then I kind of went and swam and around the pool. I didn't even get myself onto the lift up to the Mount Gushmore. I was just vibing though. I'm glad I have it, and maybe this is going to guarantee we have a cool marathon weekend and a cool princess, so it'll be fine. Because with the math on it, where I basically have to go twice to break even, so on the annual pass upgrade. So
Well, you and Austin can go have a grand old time at Blizzard.
I don't think you could pay Caitlin to go to either water park, but especially that one.
I would go to Typhoon.
pro tip for your any check-ins in 2025, your first day you can go to the water park. It's complimentary. So if you're checking in at a Disney resort.
Good reason to show up early in the morning and drop your luggage, even if you can't check in yet. Well, Caitlin and I did not cut out to the water park, if that wasn't abundantly clear. So we stayed for a little bit and we rode. We talked about maybe going on Dinosaur again, but we ended up going on Everest. And we ended up riding Everest 2 times in very quick succession because we rode in the single rider line. And Caitlin got the opportunity to ride in the very back row all by yourself, right?
There was a kid next to me.
Oh, there was?
Yeah,
That's
it was a
fun.
full train. Efficiency,
Yeah, efficiency. Can't beat it.
especially with Everest.
I
You cannot have an empty seat on
I
Everest.
thought about going a third time, but then at that point, I actually ended up leaving because I had to go back to the hotel because, again, best laid plans did not work out. I had to edit the podcast that you guys listened to that Tuesday while we were still at the parks because my work schedule was so crazy before the trip that I hadn't had a chance to get it done ahead of time. You went ahead and headed back to Magic Kingdom though, didn't you, Caitlin? Tell us about that.
Yes, I did. I went straight to Magic Kingdom right after Animal Kingdom. And because it was so late in the afternoon slash evening, I got a lot of stuff done. Another TikTok was made. So I think if you're counting, that was probably what, the fourth TikTok of the trip. And then I did a ton of rides. And again, we did not do any sort of lightning lane at all. It's just if you go to Magic Kingdom and you don't really care about seeing Happily Ever After, you can get a lot accomplished. So I did Pirates, Space Mountain, People Mover, Carousel of Progress, the Winnie the Pooh ride. Peter Pan, I only had to wait 15 minutes because I literally got on it right when Happily Ever After was starting. Small World was a walk on. Had to get on Big Thunder because it's about to go down for refurbishment. And then this was my first time ever on the Jingle Cruise.
Oh,
I love Jungle Cruise, one of my all-time favorite rides in Magic Kingdom. Never gotten the Christmas overlay version of it, and it was so cute. Skipper Rebecca did an amazing job. I loved it. And only like a 20-minute wait.
wow.
So, yeah.
Not bad.
And you made it back late. I was impressed. I mean, yes, you had, slept
Yeah.
like a mummy, but
I mean,
you
I
stayed
had
hard. You played hard.
I mean, I had woken up at 11 in the morning, so then when Magic Kingdom closed at 10, I was, like, going on hour 11 of being awake. It wasn't nothing like the actual half marathon day when I was awake for, like, a solid 23 hours in a row because we got up at, like, 2 AM.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, maybe it's just like recovery. I was still zonked that night. So more power to you. But then we went back to Magic Kingdom the next day.
Ooh, I still have one
Oh,
more
you
thing
have
to go.
something else? I'm so
Yes.
sorry.
All good, all good. I went back to Animal Kingdom once Blizzard closed.
Oh.
It's like, wait, you guys might not know I did that. I went to Cali River Rapids because I was damp anyway. Might as well. So did Cali River Rapids. My mom's puppy is named Cali River Rapids, so had to go on for my girl. It's always fun. I mean, I
Did
didn't
you
get
get
that wet.
drenched? Oh no.
Okay,
Oh.
so I didn't get wet from the ride proper, but at the very end when they're getting to the unload zone where people can press a button to make your life more difficult and get you wet, that's where I got wet. But
Oh.
I had my bathing suit on still, so
Not that big of a deal.
I went into it under the assumption that that would happen, and I then bolted over to Everest to get on it before it closed, and I asked for the
Nice.
front row even though I was alone, and it was great. So I was on one of the last couple of trains of the night because I got in line like right as it was hitting 6 o'clock. And then when I exited the park, I caught the Tree of Life Awakening.
Ooh.
And as they were lighting up the Tree of Life, which I don't know if I've caught that before, at least full form, but I like stopped to watch for a little bit and I was like, this might be like getting close to the end because of just the way the music was. And I was right. Because then I could tell like it was like a big finale. I'm like, and I'm heck halfway, I'm by the Rainforest Cafe. I'm like, oh, thank God. I decided to skedaddle out. But I had every intention of getting back out to the parks. I was like, going to go back to the room, change out of my bathing suit, whatever. And then when I like showered and changed out of the bathing suit, I'm like, it's really comfy in here and warm. And she did not leave.
Well, we went and had food court dinner, but
That is true, but we did
that
leave
was
the room
about
for
it.
that, but I did not leave the property because I guess the more time as I'm, like, warm and cozy in there and it passes, I'm like, "I'm not gonna make it for Fantasmic, and I wouldn't make it for Happily Ever After." I'm like, I could also get a really good night of sleep because it is vacation, and I should maybe sleep a little bit because again, the Garmin's crying for help.
And now on to the next day. So the next day, we were on our way to go to another character breakfast to Topolino's Terrace. Caitlin had a fun little encounter before we fully made it out because we all had that was the day we were checking out. So we Natalie had to bring her bags to the front. Caitlin had to bring her bags to the front. I had to chuck mine in my car before we could drive to breakfast. And who did you see?
Oh, I saw Goofy and Donald in the lobby of Riverside and they were being so cute. I got a selfie with the goof. He was great. And then Donald was watching the little TV in the lobby with little kids. It was
Oh.
so cute.
And then we headed to Topolino's after that. We all hopped in my car and we drove over to the Riviera. Other than our other breakfast that we had there, I definitely never been to Topolino's and I hadn't really seen much of the Riviera because really all I saw was the courtyard outside when we went to the cafe. And the food was so good. Do you guys want to talk about? Well, I think we all ordered almost the exact, like, we all got a side of the sour cream waffles. But and then we all get different mains?
No, you got something different than Caitlin and I
Oh, so we
got.
did a little flip-flop on who's the original. What'd you guys get? I already forgot.
We got the steak and eggs.
Ooh, yum.
It was very good. I was so hungry. I was like, Natalie, what is the biggest entree that they have here? I'm going to just order whatever is the largest size portion.
You do not leave hungry there.
No, my eyes were like bigger than my stomach. But really, what it was when they brought over our little like starters and they had this cute little ceramic paint pot looking thing full of chocolate chip muffins and croissants. That is what did me in.
You ate so many
So
mini chocolate chip muffins.
I was so hungry. Yeah, so mistakes were made. I was so uncomfortably full. It was So don't be like me and don't eat all of the croissants that they bring you. But
Yeah.
the
Or
pog juice, yeah.
what was
Ooh.
interesting is I don't know if I've ever gotten that there before. Usually I just get water and then some coffee. Maybe they've had it and I just haven't ordered it, but that was something where our waiter just brought it out to us, which was nice. Um, it's it's so, so good there.
Yeah. And he kept it flowing.
Oh, he did.
That was very exciting. That's like Ben's favorite, possibly his favorite drink in Disney is Pog Juice. So it's a shame. I'll have to see if that's a place we can go during marathon weekend. Um,
It's under
oh
refurbishment
no,
from
you're
the
right.
12th to the 25th. So if you were to get it, it would be have to be earlier.
Yeah, we'd have to do it on like, well, because we're showing up, we're getting there many days before then. So we will still theoretically have an opportunity. And maybe like 5K day would be a day that we would be able to because we haven't gone that far. It's still really early when you're done. So we'll see.
You might even be able to get a walk up.
Yeah.
To be honest, if you go right after the 5K and go right to the Riviera,
Mhm.
I think usually are not that stinky after the 5K.
I don't plan on trying to go that hard during the 5K that I'm worried about it. Just depends on what my costume is, if I feel like I want to roll up in that.
It's like generally understood, or maybe I just don't care. I'm trying to think of the weirdest costume I've worn to a character. I think character press. I guess Pooh Bear was pretty innocuous.
Yeah. I got the quiche. The quiche was very good. Um, I think that quiche is actually like a lot of people make it. You have it at a lot of brunches. Like it's a classic casserole thing that people make, but I think it's actually pretty hard to like nail a quiche with the texture and everything, and they nailed it. Let me tell you. Plus it came with, and this was weird that this was the selling factor for me, but it came with like a citrus vinaigrette dressed salad, which is not normally what I'm like itching for at breakfast, but it was really good, especially in contrast to like the richness of the quiche and the sour cream waffle, which is one, the waffle is so good, but it also has like, I don't know if it's a citrus cream or like it's got this cream. The waffle itself is flavored and the syrup is flavored. So it was, oh my gosh, it was just a great meal. And our server was very honest with his opinion of food and definitely gave us a little bit like I don't understand why anyone ever orders Mickey waffles speech when the sour cream waffles are an option, so that was kind of funny, but I did agree with him in this one instance that the sour cream waffles from Topolino's are more flavorful than a Mickey waffle. But there's something about the joy of a Mickey waffle that's hard to compete with.
True. It was funny because he also because I've been to Topolino's a couple of times, and I've gotten the quiche before and also the wood and now the wood-fired steak and eggs, and I had had my eye on the bread pudding
Oh my
brulee,
gosh, he was so.
and he was just honest, he's like, I probably just wouldn't get that." I'm like,
Just to be clear for people, I don't think it's because
he was
it's
polite.
bad
Yeah.
or like that he said that it wasn't good. His reasoning for why he wouldn't order that is because they already serve you free pastries. So then you're going to eat more pastry. And so I think his rationale was that do you want an entire meal of pastry? Which I mean, it's a vibe. If that's what you want, then that's what you want.
I've had my server do that the first time I went because I told her, I was like, "I'm so torn between, like, sweet and savory." She's like, "Well, here's the pastry basket. This is if you really are really torn, like, this can be your sweet," and then I would probably go savory, to be honest
Mhm.
with you.
Plus you can get the side of the waffle, so
Yes.
that helps.
Yeah, it's such a good one where I feel like if you're looking at all your different values and you're trying to assess, character dining is really fantastic for having a controlled like place to meet your character, especially if you have kids where you're going to get the characters met a lot faster than you are when you if you see them in the parks and wait for Mickey and Magic Kingdom and Town Hall. But this is somewhere where you really get like good food. I'm not going to throw a stray at any other place, but like sometimes it is more about like the convenience of the characters and those interactions. But this one, the food is also pretty excellent.
And then after breakfast, as I attempted to say earlier, we headed to Magic Kingdom and
Yes.
I was able to secure us. We were all on there trying to get it. And I think mine went through first. We secured boarding group 17 for
Woo.
Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Technically, our boarding group got called while we were at breakfast. And so we did just barely miss our boarding window. When we arrived, we spoke with a cast member and they let us know that it was fine. We could still go on. So we did still ride it. We waited in line with, again, another very nice family. We are apparently kind of a little bit social butterflies sometimes at Disney, and we were talking with them a lot. Caitlin spoke with them a lot about like different restaurants to eat at, and we were talking to the younger kids because it was a wonderful experience. We all rode together. I mean, there was some nostalgia, right? Natalie pointed out a few spots where she like remembers other things from Splash Mountain.
I think that it was the life that needed to be breathed back into the attraction.
It was a beautiful ride.
Beautiful.
The queue is
I
really
loved
cool
it.
too. There's like a little kitchen,
Mhm.
like Tiana's kitchen is there, and there's like beignets being made like in a basket in there. There's fake powdered sugar everywhere. It's a very cute ride line.
This was the biggest challenge that I had from my boss, but this was the end of my challenge list, but
Quite a challenge ride for us to ride on our final day before you guys had to go to an airport.
yes, I made sure that I wore my flip-flop, my Ufus to the park that day, and I had my, gym shoes just change into later, but, no, it was so good. I loved it. I really loved it. I thought that I just think it's the life that needed to be breathed back into it, and it's just so beautiful too.
It was. The music was good. It felt like a
Oh, yeah.
party. I didn't
Yes.
feel any sort of sadness while we were riding the ride that like the old Splash Mountain was gone or anything. I just felt excitement. And it genuinely, like, the, like, story of the ride is that you're going, prepping for a party with Tiana, and they fully accomplish the vibe that you are on your way to a party, for sure.
It was great. I love when they turned us small too.
Yeah.
What used to be the laughing place. That's the best way I know how to describe it. It's like after this dip, like, but no, what used to be the laughing place before you go up the hill to the drop. Spoiler alert, there's still a drop. Well, they're like they made us all small, and then
Mhm.
they like made, and then we were big again. I loved it.
It was really good, and the drop I mean, they didn't change technically, the track is the same to my knowledge, it's just, like, aesthetically redesigned, rethemed. Even though I knew exactly how tall the drop was, it still surprised me because 'cause it's been so long, a little bit, and there's, like, this whole when you're on the ride, there's sort of this, like, cloud of mist, so you can't actually see the bottom of that drop when you go over the edge, which kinda makes it feel like you don't know when it's gonna end, like, how far is it really? My hat almost blew off while we were going down that, so I had to, like, quickly grab my hat. I wore my raincoat, and, luckily, my shoes did not get wet. I had them sort of, like, tucked up in case there was any puddling going on, but I stayed pretty dry. I did look like I peed myself a little bit because the one little bit of water that did get in was in my lap.
Oh man. But yeah, it's like how they did Maelstrom into Frozen.
Mhm.
They just reskinned the Splash Mountain and turned it into Tiana's, which I also really loved it. And I also was not feeling any sort of like sadness for Splash Mountain. Like Splash Mountain was a really good ride and everything, but I'm really glad that they changed it.
With respect to anything being changed with the ride, I saw a theory this past week that somehow you get wetter on this, and I don't understand because you know, at the beginning of the ride where you're going to your first little pull up while and like you're going up while the big drop's happening, right?
Mhm.
Where there used to be this big cannon of what that they only really had on in the summer of like
Yeah,
water.
I was gonna
I think
say,
that's gone.
I
At least I
think so
don't see it.
too. Maybe
So I don't
because it's
understand
like
how you get
winter?
wetter.
Right.
Oh, maybe they made it
Maybe
retractable now.
they maybe they turned off the cannons because it's quote unquote winter time in Florida, but I
I
didn't
mean,
see the
it wasn't the day
cannons.
we were riding it.
It wasn't yeah, I didn't think that I got any more splashed and
Yeah.
wet on Tiana's. I don't know.
It's funny because I just saw this in the last couple of days. I'm like, I need you to elaborate how you're getting more soaked. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was any more or less besides not getting shot by the
The
cannon.
only thing I can think of that could change the amount of wet you get would be if the, like, aerodynamics of the ride vehicle are different, which, like, changes the water trajectory or something, but I don't think
We got science up in here.
yeah.
Pretty sure the logs are the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm stumped. I'll go back to the drawing board on that one.
I'll keep trolling Facebook and seeing. I want somebody to elaborate next time
Yeah.
they say that.
Yeah, and then so challenge complete for Natalie. And then we checked off another thing that Caitlin wanted to do, which was ride the train. So there's the train station, or one of the train stations is right there by the ride. So we just hopped on up and rode it around the park. And that is when Caitlin had to make her way. She rode it to the front, and that's when she made her way to the airport. It was a sad goodbye.
So sad.
I'll see
Leaving
you.
Disney's always so sad. Yeah, it's never goodbye. It's always just see you real soon.
Yeah, we rode it back to the Frontierland station because I was like, oh, if the Country Bears, like maybe let's go see the Country Bears because they had just changed the show, but we had, I think, just missed the last, or just like missed a showing.
Hmm.
So it was like, it was 10 minutes. I'm like, I don't want to see it that bad. Not this time. Sorry, Adam. But we kind of moseyed on up to the front of the park, went into the confectionery. I was figuring out some treats to get for some folks back home. Then Hannah and I headed out of the park.
Hmm.
I also used to work at confectionery.
There was some cute stuff in there because it was all holiday stuff. I brought home some peppermint bark that's in a little mailbox, and it has a coin slot on the top, so it could be a piggy bank later, or it could be like a I don't know. I almost got they have a Tiana themed piggy bank right now. That's the can from the movie with her like restaurant fund, and then on the back they have a so on one side it's themed, and then on the back side of it it's blank, and there's a spot for you to write in your own like goal, so I thought it would have been cute to get that and write, like, Ben and Hannah's house fund or something, and it has candy inside, but I did not do that. But still could. And then as we were walking out, Natalie was gonna head back to the resort to pick up her bags, and I was gonna head back to my car. The bus that I needed was already there, and I was afraid it was gonna leave me, so Natalie was on the phone with someone, and I was like, "Okay, I have to buy. I have to go buy," and just sort of, like, dashed away. So we had a very quick goodbye, and then I texted her apologizing for running off. But
I get it. I've sprinted for the Magic Kingdom buses so many times that I understood.
so that was when we parted ways. I did make a stop, technically two stops, at each of the character warehouses on my drive home. There was I did make one purchase at the first one.
What did you get?
I had been hoping that the Halloween merchandise would be there because I had seen it removed from our gift shop the day before, and so I figured like, "Oh, well, it's been gone for a day, they'll take it on over." Not a single Halloween thing to be found. I don't know if they still haven't brought it out or what, but I did purchase my very first lounge fly while I was there,
What?
and I
What's it
bought
look
the
like?
Dole Whip themed lounge
Oh,
fly.
cute.
It is very cute. I am very excited to get to wear it again or like wear it for the first time. Basically it was still in the plastic, like inside wrapped in tissue paper inside a plastic bag. Like they had lots of them that were already on display, and I picked one from the back that had never been touched. I was like, this is mine now,
There you go.
and checked out and you know, drove home. And now we're looking forward to our next adventure.
Indeed, we are. It really helps with the Disney blues when, as you're still readjusting your sleep schedule, you have to make ADRs. It helps.
Yeah.
I made an ADR finally.
You did? Where?
Yeah. Steakhouse 71, day of the marathon.
Ooh.
Ooh.
That'll be a party.
Oh, yum. I would eat breakfast. I have eaten breakfast, lunch, and dinner at Steakhouse 71. It's so good. Their French onion soup's really good. I
Oh,
mean,
Caitlin,
everything's
you're gonna
good.
have to get that. French onions got Gruyere.
Ooh.
Oh, and Austin will be there, and so will his
Yeah.
parents. And one of my old roommates from Miami works at Steakhouse 71, so I hope she'll be there.
Really?
Yeah,
We could have a
Ooh.
Miami reunion.
exactly.
Yeah, I think I have a breakfast there. I forget what morning, but I know I have a breakfast there as well. I love Steakhouse 71.
I've
Even
never
like the
been.
bar. Ooh, it's good.
We're definitely looking forward to marathon weekend. I can't wait to see you guys again soon.
Indeed.
In person.
Yes.
Well, I think that's an episode. If you enjoyed listening to our show, please leave us a review and a 5-star rating. We love reading your reviews out loud, and you might be featured on a future podcast episode. We've also started a community spotlight on our Instagram at Stride Sisters Podcast. If you want to be featured for a Metal Monday, Finish Line Friday, or any accomplishment that you want to celebrate, send us a picture via our social media platforms or our email. Thanks for listening. Until our next adventure, we're wishing you endless miles of magic and memories. See you next time.